All right.
All right.
In 5, 4. Remember, like a TV. 5, 4. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. This is the Sunspots Comics Podcast. I'm Chris Latore, your host, and joining me, introducing for the first time, is my buddy Kevin Nelson. How you doing, Kevin?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm excellent, man. Thank you so much for joining me here. You and I are about to break down Nottingham Vol1.
Yep.
Issues 1 through 5 it collects. Yeah, I'm excited too. Let's give the peoples a little sort of backstory, if you will. Let's first jump in, because this is the first time you've been on the podcast. Give me your, comic book origin story. I've already known it, but share it with the peeps.
All right, well, not a huge comic book person, but the farthest back that I can go is walking around the grocery store with my mom. Not sure what age I was, probably 12 or something like that. But the Archie comic book series, they're available, where
where
see the magazines and everything, and then there'd be those comic books, and that's the only type of comic books I think Stater Brothers or Bonds or whatever had in stock. So I don't know what drew me to it, if it was just the art or just this little tiny booklet, because they were pretty thick. I mean, they weren't regular floppy comics that used to seem.
Yeah, so, they're mostly collections, right? The digest is, I think, what they sold a lot.
The digest, yes.
Archie Digest.
Archie Digest, yeah. So I don't remember ever really reading them.
Nobody. Most people.
I would make my mom buy them, and then I would just collect them. I just had stacks of them.
Oh wow!
And then I would flip through them, look at the art, but I wasn't really into reading in those days. My mom could tell you about that. I was very difficult to sit down and just read a book, even one with pictures.
Nice. Well, we could be having a whole different conversation, or not one at all, if your parents would have let you get anything else at the end of the grocery store from the Inquirer, the Star, People magazine. Just think, at least you gravitated towards Archie comics. Yes. So thank goodness.
Archie comics and video game magazines. Those were the only things that interested me. I don't know.
Nice.
If there was more choices, then I would have gone for something else, but I had never really gone inside a comic book shop, even though it was one half a mile away from my house.
Oh wow.
Even less, probably.
To this day you've really never gone inside a comic book store?
No.
That's awesome.
I mean, I've gone inside the one by my parents' house,
mm-hmm.
but I think I went for Pokemon cards or something like that.
Not comics. Ouch! A little.
Right,
an old scar just opened right here on my shoulder. But well, that's cool. I'd like to definitely take you to your first, and I can experience it in now a different light, because I'm a pusher of comics, and I managed to push them on you. But besides Archie, which you really didn't read, you just collected stacks. Do you remember kind of reading your very first single issue comic, what it was, your first time you read a floppy of something?
That was probably more recently. We got a box in the mail full of comics. It was probably to the wrong address, and I opened it up and saw just a box full of comics. It was just random. I think probably they just got I don't know if there's random selections that comic book stores just send to people.
Interesting.
But it seemed really random. It was just a bunch of different older comic books. I could tell because some of them were yellowing.
You still have this box?
No.
Oh.
I actually...
I was going to say, you gave it to the people that belonged to?
Well, no, because I didn't know who they were. It had our address, but it didn't have our name.
Yeah, so claimed. You're like, no, it's our address. It's mine.
So somebody was out of 10 comics. But I read one of those... I can't remember. I think it was a Fantastic Four one. It's the one that I told you about with holographic
90s Fantastic Four.
Yeah,
that's right.
It was was it 90s or was it 2099 or something like that?
Okay, yeah, that's still
Something like that.
90s, early 2000s. Yeah, and those holographic covers were, I mean, they're still
I thought it was
out.
really cool because it was holographic, so I thought I was like, this is probably worth money. I'm gonna keep this one.
Oh, nice.
But it was all right.
Mm-hmm.
Like I wasn't really a fan of. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Fantastic Four, anyways. So
Didn't do it for you.
but
There's a ton of those
yeah,
series, the 2099s, and there weren't a lot of them even stuck with through to the
yeah.
end. But Spider-Man and Ghost Rider, I remember those kind of vividly. And some of them were just a lot of fun, but I don't remember the Fantastic Four 2099 at all, or if it was any good. So I think...
It was well, and I've talked to you about this before that when they do like there was like aliens or something in that one, and it was just a bunch of like alien talk, but then like it's like basically broken English and really hard to follow, and then the text was written alienish, so super hard to read, and I was like kept going back and like making sure I figured out
wow.
what was going on.
That alien verbiage may have been also to convey like just a confusion because we don't understand what they're saying. Like it might have been purposefully done, or maybe every fifth word was an English word and the rest of it were symbols and things. They do that a lot.
Kind of, it was really weird because it was just, it seemed like it was all in English. It was just the font that they used was like trying to make it look alien.
Interesting.
It was really, I don't know. I just ruined it for me. If it would have just been in like the regular font,
yeah,
even if they did it with that like, alien type language ish / English, it would have probably been better. Just so I can like get through it instead of being like, what's going on?
What is happening? But beyond that, after this kind of a little letdown of a single floppy, was there anything after that? Like, really, did you pick up another comic for?
Well, after that was the whole Halo graphic novel.
Oh yes, debacle.
Yes.
Let's get into that a little bit. So, before we met at our jobs at Disney, or at for me it's the part-time job, for you it's full-time, and we work at the Mouse House. We met there, so I've been there for 3 years, and I've known you on and off, but like this last year. We just really connected and vibed and got to know each other, and like I'm so like grateful for you, man, like as a friend, and thankful.
I'm grateful for you.
Oh, thanks. I'm just glad you're here, and like it's a rarity, right? And at least it has been in my life, where you meet someone and you become really close friends in a short period of time. You just like have these conversations, and we find each other to be on the same level, and we're just right. Whereas we
definitely click better because. I mean, even though our job, there's a lot of people that we work with. Yeah. There's, not a huge selection of people that click like that. So
I know what you mean. You just kind of go. I mean, Disney has so many employees. You're right. Like sometimes there's really no time, but I think that when you find someone you do click with, you keep gravitating towards them, and then it's either goes somewhere or kind of doesn't. And if for us, it like quickly sort of. It just vibed, it gelled, but man, thanks for coming on, and thanks for being a victim of my comic book pushing. So I said, why don't we read something together? If we both like it, or it's good / great, we'll do a pod together. And I could see your eyes go big, and you're like, a pod, like talk, and you'll record it, and so on. And then you've been listening to all the Sunspots comics back issues of the podcast. So it is a little weird too, like even to be right now where you are, a little strange.
Yes, it's very weird.
You're gonna listen to yourself in a commute soon, because you told me you listen to the Sunspots Comics podcast in your commute. It's gonna be your own voice piping through your truck. Like that's gonna be weird, right?
Yes, I don't really like my voice, so
maybe
I've
it'll
heard that
grow
from a
on
few
you.
people that it's like hearing yourself speak is just weird. I don't know. Some people like it. I don't know, not for me.
It is weird. No, you have a very calming voice. You do. You have it's very calming, very relaxed. Yeah, I like it. And that's another just even tiny part of the reason I wanted you on to do a podcast together was your perspective. You're not a heavy comics person and fan, but the things I've been throwing at you, for the most part, you're digging. But the Halo graphic novel was the one we're supposed to talk about on this very podcast. Yeah. What happened?
So, me going into it, since I'm a pretty big Halo fan and Master Chief fan, mainly because that's basically what the games are centered around. Obviously, Master Chief is the main character. So I thought the graphic novel that has a giant picture of Master Chief on the front cover, I was like, oh, this will be stories with him in it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he was in one panel in the first story and nothing else.
That was so crazy. I couldn't believe it myself.
Was like the most pointless, like that whole first page was pointless. Had nothing to do with like the rest of that issue.
Yeah.
They just showed him, I feel like, because they had to, and then all the rest of them were nowhere to be seen.
Yeah, crazy. I mean, they should have almost felt like for the Halo graphic novel there should have been a disclaimer. They should have just said like, FYI, Master Chief is barely in this.
Yes.
So that is why we are not doing a podcast upon that very thing. But
or made like the cover something else, like because I'm also now reading Volume 1, Volume 2 omnibuses of like the other Halo.
Was it Halo Legacy, I believe, right? It was like over 300 pages.
Yeah. Halo Legacy, but then there's...
Oh, you finished that already.
I finished that one, and then there's like these two other omnibuses, which is like Escalation and some other one. But see, those covers don't even have him on it, or they have like him, but then a bunch of other characters and stuff in the background. Right. So it's not just like this is Master Chief.
Like we need that. We need like the Master Chief, like the Master Chief story, episode 1. Like we need some of that. But I highly respect you have a sort of another level of completistness. That's not a word. In your repertoire. Also not a word. That I am a completionist as well, but I can segment it, and I can pop in other sort of pieces of media or whatever. Like you go all in until it's done. Like you have other things you're reading, novels, etc., prose, and you have to just sort of read one thing at a time. And I really respect that. It's kind of inspiring because for me, as a single issue comic reader, like I'll read 20 to 50 different titles a week. And so you're fragmenting this story all over the place. And I like that you stay singular in your focus and that everything is all Halo. You're going to reach a point where you've completely completed every Halo comic page.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm almost done with the Volume 2. And then after that, I don't know if there's really any other, like... I mean, I know there's other Halo things. I'm not sure if I'm going to dive into those.
But you've read the lion's share with especially Legacy at over 300 pages. And the graphic novel. I would, if I were to just guess, just from looking up how much content Halo has, you're probably 70% done, 60 to 70% done. You're in.
What I've looked at, I've got a majority of the stories done.
Nice.
I think what I haven't read is the most recent stuff, kind of based on the newest video game.
Okay.
But like these stories, like I've kind of, because the other Halo Legacy and the other ones, there's not a whole lot of Master Chief in those two.
Oh, man, what are they doing?
But
why?
The way I'm thinking of it is, Master Chief has his video games, so
hours and hours and hours of content.
Hours of content right there. So this is kind of explaining, Master Chief is going off doing his thing. This is what's going on elsewhere where Master Chief isn't, with the new Spartan program and what they're doing and what they're focusing on, because they don't know where Master Chief is. Like, and some of the ones I'm reading, they think he's dead, but nobody's saying where he is. So
it's that Halo verse they're building. It's really just the whole universe of Halo. Well, that's cool. I definitely want to read more of it and get sort of caught up to you, at least on that 300 version.
Yeah, the Legacy, you should read that one. That one's really well done. I mean, the art is really good, and it's just, I think all the stories are really well done. I was very pleased with Halo Legacy, for sure.
Because I remember you talking, too, about you have the newest version of the Xbox, and you have Halo Infinity, and you were inspiring me there, pushing that pill upon me, as I was saying, like, comics. But I think it's cool that even though Halo graphic novel was a stinker, you've gone so far beyond the page count of that very thing and consumed so much of Halo. So I think that's cool in that way. I, again, pushed that pill on you, and here you are, like, many hundreds of pages into a comic, which is cool. I just like that. And I hope there's more things I push on you and you push on me. I still want to get an Xbox and get that Halo game so we can sort of talk about it. Yeah. But anyway, that's why we're not
Nottingham on me, so that's...
Yes. And that's where we led in. That was basically, it's my second pick. You went on the Halo tangent, and thankfully you didn't tell me, I want to finish Halo first before we go into Nottingham.
Yes.
But it was on my mind because I think you were saying, like, I remember us talking about you wanting, or you liked or gravitated to, like, things that are sort of realistic in nature or have historical elements, or even the medieval kind of thing, not necessarily fantasy and dragons and power, but something that's based in realism. Did we have that? We did, right? We had that chat.
Yeah, we did. And you had told me about this. I mean, like, going from Halo that is, like, completely not real. But to this, I think when you told me about it, it didn't take a lot of, like, convincing.
Oh, for Nottingham?
Because you know, like, Robin Hood, I mean, most people know about Robin Hood.
Yeah.
There's been plenty of stories and movies and, you know, about it. But when you told me about how it's Robin Hood with a twist.
Yeah.
That's when it was like...
With a twist of lemon. It's a twist, squeeze of citrus. No, but yeah, that's...
Definitely, I like the different take on, the different approach on it. So, because, like, you've never seen it, like, in film in that way. So, I mean, at least I haven't. I mean...
The Kevin Costner film didn't really even get close to this.
No, and what's the newest one with Jamie Foxx or something like that? That wasn't...
Oh, he is? I thought he...
Yeah, I think he is in the... I think that was Robin Hood.
Oh, goodness.
The newest one with... I think it was the...
Oh, yeah.
The British kid from... that one Secret Agent movie.
Oh, yeah.
Can't remember that name of that movie.
But anyway, I think Nottingham hits perfectly then in that regard, that it's like in other forms of media where there's a vacuum. We need this treatment of Robin Hood. But before we jump in too, I just wanted to let's sort of quick full disclosure. I am an employee of Mad Cave Studios, which is awesome. Shout out to all my fellow Mad Cave Studio employees. And but I read this prior to being employed there. I want to give a shout out to Stephanie at Mad Cave Studios for telling me about Nottingham and then sending me issue number 1 like a pusher, like I am. And I was hooked ever since. And before I even interviewed with them, I was up to like issue 5 or so. So I just wanted to kind of disclose that. But I found this, and I'm thankful for Nottingham for leading me in a way to being employed at Mad Cave. So I think that's just cool. That it's semi-responsible for the reason why I got this awesome job at Mad Cave Studios. Full disclosure there. But I wanted you to legitimately dig, to be at least good to excellent in that sort of range, above good, to even be worthy of your time. And so would you say worthy?
I would definitely say worthy. I mean, even though, like, I'm very new to comic books, I mean, I feel like I should be... scrutinize it a little bit more, because, like, first of all, you know, I asked you, like, how do I read bubbles? Like,
yeah, that's right. We had that. You had a problem with the Halo, and you were like, where do I go from here? It was a 2-page splash, and I remember that it went horizontally across the top, cutting into this, you know, the other side of the page for the middle sort of horizontal layer, and you were like, do I go down or do I go to the side? And I was like, yeah, you know, that's true. If you're not really into comics, you'll be lost.
Super confused. This one, luckily, I don't think there's any 2-page splashes in any of the 5 issues.
I think there's 0.
Yeah. So it's pretty easy to determine.
Good. I'm glad. Well, before we jump in, I want to say what we're doing, of course, is Kevin and I are going to go through page by page of Nottingham, volume number 1, which covers the first 5 issues, 1 through 5. It's 148 pages from cover to the back matter, but it didn't feel like that to me. Did it? When I saw 148 pages, I was like, what? Really?
Definitely not. I read it pretty quick.
Me too.
I think it took me like, took me probably a couple of days, but like
of 48 hours of consecutive reading to get through.
Yeah, it was, a word every 10 minutes.
Wow, your pace is bananas.
Lots of distractions here at home.
Sure.
No, but it was very good. It didn't feel like I could probably, without distractions, I could probably have read through it like a half hour to hour.
Nice.
To read all that, because it was just a lot of like looking at the art, and I wouldn't say it was at all like it was hard to determine what was happening.
Mm-hmm.
Or like, but you still, like, for me being new, like I want to read it and then like appreciate the art and really see what's going on per page.
We'll peel back that.
I could probably read all of it in like 10 minutes if I would just read the bubbles and just been flipping through and not even like looking
and that,
at the picture.
as a comic book fan, that's like blasphemy. Don't do that. There's like a sweet spot in there of where you sort of read and then absorb and read. Sometimes I'll go through a page and look at not a single bubble and just look at the art and kind of where, because I believe that really good storytelling should be shown in comics and not just told. You should be able to look at each page and the sort of emotion of the characters and so on and know what's happening.
Exactly. It's a lot different than like, because I read books, novels.
What are those? They're like the paper things, right? With all the little scribblies on them?
No pictures at all.
I don't know. That just sounds weird.
So with that, it's all up to your imagination to figure out, what's going on. With this, I mean, you still have an imagination, obviously. Mm-hmm. It's still a book. But, like, you're given this amazing art to actually see it, and somebody spent tons of time drawing these pages. So I feel like you should take your time to actually, like, look and appreciate what's going on in each page, each panel.
Agreed, my friend. Agreed. Before we go too far, I want to give everyone a spoiler alert. If you haven't read Nottingham Volume 1, we are going to spoil stuff. We're going to focus more on, like, how we feel, right, about a panel, than sort of describing it panel by panel, or just really kind of telling you the story as we go along. We're definitely going to spoil story points. So just a kind of spoiler alert to everyone. We are going to be going page by page into Nottingham Volume 1. And what would you? I mean, I this is an adult well, not adult. Adult sounds bad. You know what I'm? It's it's not pornographic, but it's a rated R or like a hard PG-13.
So it's rated T for teen.
This is
on the back. If you look at the back cover, T for teen back here.
Okay.
I would maybe. I don't remember ever seeing really any foul language like bad.
Yeah, you're right.
And then there's blood. Obviously, there's tons and tons of gore.
I guess there's no nudity either.
No nudity. There's implied. There's a part where it's kind of implied nudity, but
right.
But like for one panel, and that's it. So I would say teen is a pretty pretty good.
All right.
I mean, teen as in like. I think a 13-year-old can read it.
You think so?
Not be traumatized.
All right, cool. I would have given a little hard. Some of the violence is really brutal. I might have gone a little on the edge of, like more like adult, like R. But I guess I can kind of see.
Nowadays, kids are watching all sorts of things.
That's true. That's true. The kids are
this
exposed.
Is nothing compared to what's on TV.
That's a scary point, but you're right. So, all right. So I want to talk briefly. So let's jump into it. Here we go. Nottingham Volume 1. By the way, this is from Mad Cave Studios. This is writer David Hazan, artist Shane Connery Volk, which every time I see that name, I think of Sean Connery. And I think of, we named the dog Indiana. Shane Connery Volk. Beautiful coloring from Luca Romano. Have to point that out. But a Also, some of the logo designs and some of the covers are done by Miguel Angel Zapata, who is a Mad Cave Studios employee. Shout out, Miguel! But I want to say the trade presentation of this, with the kind of parchment look and the sort of crest that you see right after you turn the page, where the horses are on the two sides, the axes are at the top, and the merry men, that crest is like screaming to be tattooed. I mean, I'm not... Right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any tattoos myself, but yeah, that would be definitely a very cool one.
Maybe we should just do that after this podcast, just get that tattooed on ourselves.
I like the comic book.
No, you don't want to commit that level. Put some ink on you. But I love it. I love even the credit page has the indentation implying of a 2-page with Robin Hood on the left hand side.
Yeah,
that's just
this is
beautiful.
Kind of future to the
flash forward
flash forward to something later in the
Yes. Do you see the little paint speckles, like they put paint on a toothbrush and then sort of sprinkle it everywhere? I just love that kind of gritty, cool feeling that adds when one time I saw an artist.
It's dark,
Yeah. Like the shadow is spreading. It's like Venom, like a Venom symbiote is growing off of this page, that credits page.
With like the crow flying away, or crow, something like that.
It makes that blackness like a being almost, and you're in the credits page at this point. So I love the tone it's setting.
Definitely, I think it's really cool.
And then even the second sort of further credit page, which is, if you go down to the very bottom, the very last person there on that credit page is Stephanie Hidalgo. Thanks again for pointing me the way to Nottingham. So Stephanie's there for Mad Cave Studios. And then tell me what your thoughts are on this part 1 page. This is not in the single issue, but that little look there, sometimes other trades will put the actual hard copy of the first issue, which in this one is the cover of this trade, is the issue number 1. But here, this part 1, I love this.
Well, it's kind of like, so if you go back to the last page with Robin Hood and the blackness kind of spreading in, and then you see either Robin Hood or one of his merry men, and he's kind of looking over the soldiers. It just seems like, they're spreading.
Yeah.
And they're kind of taking over things. I think it's really cool because in a way, it seems like they're kind of controlling what these people are doing.
Yeah, you're right. It's a tease into a little smidge of story, right? You have the oppressive in I think this is Robin Hood, the oppressive Nottingham sheriff of Nottingham and his sort of soldiers of Nottingham, in a village somewhere, and where they're about to break a door down or something. So it's it screams like Robin Hood fighting oppression, fighting government oppression.
Yeah.
And then
I also think it's kind of like him kind of controlling it, a little bit of him causing it, for his own benefit.
I like that interpretation. And they did
turning the people to his side by making the soldiers look like villains.
That's true. Yeah, you're good. That's a good interpretation. I like the red sprinkling again too of the toothbrush paint that's sprinkled around this. It's adding that. But yeah, you're right. It's kind of maybe he's controlling it or has his hand over it. This is something he's inspiring to do. Yeah, good point. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
We'll put that parchment in the background. So then it goes back to sort of re-showing us this beautiful iconic picture of the Merrymen's mask with blood dripping down. This is the sort of first edition, issue number
Creepy
1.
Smile.
Yeah. I mean, it's got a little bit of I don't know, it has a weird little tinge of this Jack Skellington feel to me in a way. And the mask, the Jim Carrey and the Dark Horse comics, the mask, that giant grin is what it reminds me of. And maybe a smidge of V for Vendetta. You ever see that movie? Great comic.
Yeah, definitely. I can get that, especially with how the Merry Men are. It's very, very much like that V for Vendetta.
I think it was Guy Fawkes, wasn't it? Or Guy Fawkes Day was the V for Vendetta mask. I think that's what they called it. And that reminds me of that. All of those sort of little hints to that, but sitting in this pool of blood and the blood's coming from the eyes and dripping down the teeth.
Yeah, it's super creepy.
Super creepy. And that's also Mr. Volk right there. His autograph is down at the bottom. So now we're into the comic. Here we go.
The first page.
Well, you know what else? Did you notice this? That are there merry men facial cues? Are the masks a little different for each merry man? I was going through it again. I'm like, I think they are. They're slightly all a little different. These merry men masks.
I guess we're gonna notice as we're going through because
Yeah.
I didn't really pay too much attention to that.
Yeah, take a look at that.
But that would kind of make sense. You know, they give them their own identity, kind of.
Yeah.
A little bit.
We'll peel that onion a little. And panel 1, page 1, there's something I think is a kind of an homage to Venom. The way this merry man, is kind of that black hole in his face where the hood is darkening him and you just see the sort of shiny teeth. That almost reminds me, if Venom's tongue was coming out of there, you'd be like, oh yeah, it's Venom. I think it's a little hint to Todd McFarlane and how he did Venom. He'd always kind of black his face out and make it reminds me of that in a way.
That shadow, but then the eyes and the teeth are still kind of like peering through, like, that's creepy.
Yes. And what did you think of... Initially, we have a merry man sort of killing a noble. You know, they're robbing from the rich already and giving to the poor. And I like how they have like a mantra, right? England is sick. We are the cure.
Very culty.
Mm-hmm. Well said. Very culty.
I mean, this is a really gruesome first page for sure. I mean, first 3 panels, the guy's getting a sword through his skull, it looks like.
Yeah.
Kind of, or like the back of his head.
Yeah.
It's really... And I mean, it already is painting them like, kind of like bad. I mean, I understand they're taking from the rich, giving to the poor, but this is like, the way they're just murdering. They're not even like... stealing. They're stealing and murdering these people.
Yeah, like that
in gruesome ways.
That brings that Robin Hood story a little harder, right? Or a little more in a twist. Like it was like, oh, they were robbing them, and in my mind, I think of the merry men and like they tie them to a tree, and then they take their bags of coins. And this is like, no, they're murdering, and they have a mantra of a cult, like you said. Yeah. And even as this person's running down the second part of this page, there's like money flying out of the guy, and he's just, the arrow goes right through the back of his neck and through the front of his throat, right?
Yeah, and then he's just holding that bloody coin. Ooh.
We give to the poor, and has that Venom again, that black hole face there. And we're talking...
makes it seem more evil.
I know.
Like that makes them seem more evil.
Right, are they even in it for the money?
It's completely different from, the regular, like you were saying, the merry men tie these people up and steal their money, not murder them and steal their money. So it's like...
Yeah. And this is page 1, I thought smart, because page 1's gotta really hit you hard and make you really interested.
Hook you in there.
This hooked me. I was like, what is happening here? I thought they're gonna do a little dance and dance around him and go, Robin Hood is, like, no, that's not what you're getting here with Nottingham, guys. Right. So now we're on page 2, which is like 8 of the digital reader, by the way. Just more murder and mayhem going on here.
And again, gruesome ways too. Using that I think they call it's like a garrote or something like that.
Oh, really? The name of it, huh?
Rope things that...
Like piano wire sort of thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just... And I think this is someone, they mentioned like Richard the Lionheart and the Name of the King, but there's few of these people, I don't know if we're supposed to know who they are. I don't think so, right? They're just nobles.
Well, I think this is still they're like part of their mantra.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
It's like in the name of the King, Richard the Lionheart, and in the support of his righteous crusade. Because, well, I mean, in the rest of the comic, Robin Hood's trying to help the king. Right.
And that's who he's helping, the Richard the Lionheart. But yeah, I thought maybe these people they're supposed to know who these victims are, but not really. They're just nobles that happen to have rich And they're
if you have money, you're screwed.
yeah, murder/steal,
Yeah.
murder and steal. But yeah, their mantra continuing, and I love the panel at the bottom of page 2, going from left to right as he's dragging away someone. And we will cleanse the corrupt from this land. And you're like, oh. Well, hey, I forgot. We're 34 minutes in. Let's take a breath and tell the people again where I forgot to mention where they can find you. Since we're right in the middle, it's been 30 minutes. Please plug yourself. We'll take a quick just breather. Where can the people find you, Kevin, Nelson? Because you got a cool thing. Kind of tell people about your Instagram, if you will.
Well, so you can find me on Instagram at Kevs_daily carry. It's basically...
Yeah, what's a daily carry? What is that?
So everyday carry for some people. I mean, everybody has stuff that they always carry around. Usually it's wallet, cell phone, car keys. I collect pocket knives, flashlights, wallets.
Nice.
Hanks.
What's a hank?
Handkerchief.
Oh, handkerchiefs. Okay, cool.
But like, they have, one side's for wiping whatever you want to wipe, and then the other side's got microfiber cloth. So I wear glasses, so I'm always using that all the time.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I just post pictures of all the stuff that I collect.
That's cool. I didn't even know. Again, I'm as exposed to the carry daily world as much as you were exposed to comics. So I was kind of like, wow, I do carry things, and I like to carry a pocket knife and so on. But you've inspired me to kind of kick that up a notch. Most of the pocket knives I have are like cheap throwaways where I get like $5 for $50 or something. And I like that your stuff really has a next level, sort of, from some of those knives you carry. I know are like $1,000 knives, and the sort of like the wallets you carry with the little sort of Velcro-y characters that you can stick onto them and things. And they have like Molly pouches on them. And I like that you like copper. And in a lot of your stuff, you definitely have like flashlights that are copper, and they're definitely higher end.
And, yeah, it's a slippery slope.
Oh, sure.
As any collecting for anything is. I mean, people that collect comic books, spend lots of money on those. Maybe not as much.
Right.
But yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's fun for me.
Yeah.
Everybody does carry their usual things all the time. They just don't consider it their everyday carry, but everybody's got that.
Oh, and coins. I like that. You've inspired me too, where you have like cool looking coins, or like old fashioned Zippos, that like the Zippo that belonged to your grandfather, like, nice shiny silver Zippos. You've kind of inspired me to put cooler things in my pocket, because they do bring you joy. You pull them out of your pocket, you look at them every so often, or you show it and share it with somebody, like, check this out, this is what I carry.
Yeah.
Like, I'm joining that community. And you're again, your Instagram, which is
Kevs_daily carry.
Nice. You got a growing fan base, and you're getting some support and love from some of the people that create the manufacturers of those things. And I'm joining your community. As much as I want you to join into the comics community, pull me in and get me into the Carry Daily community. Yeah. I'm in.
It's fun. And I mean, a lot of stuff is like fidget stuff.
Fidgety
so
things.
It's like,
nice.
The lighter is mainly just for fidgeting. I mean, I'm not lighting things on fire all the time, so that's mainly what it's for.
That's true.
And yeah, I mean,
well, cool. Everyone, follow him, please. Kevs plural _ daily carry.
KEVS.
Yes, give him a follow. You'll like it. You don't post too much. It's like just the right amount. I don't think so.
I try to post like once a day, sometimes twice a day. Depends.
Nice.
I mean, Reels is the new thing for Instagram, so if you're not doing Reels, you're not getting any reach.
Yeah.
So they kind of just block that. So you need to start doing Reels.
You're right. I haven't done
Some
really.
sort.
I did one when I did the Whatnot sale for Mad Cave Studios.
Yes.
I did make a reel out of it with Metallica Master of Puppets, and that's it so far. But more to come at Sunspots Comics. But yeah, give Kev a carry. Give Kev a follow at Kevs_daily carry. Check it out. But all right, so now we'll dive back into Nottingham. We're on page for the digital reader. We're on page 9 for the actual paper read. It's like page 3, I think. Right?
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, they're not numbered, but it would be 3 if it was numbered.
Yeah, I miss numbering. I think all you publishers that are listening, just put the page numbers back on there. What's wrong with that? It's no big deal.
Every comic book, every book should have a number.
Yeah, do it. I don't know why, but more murdering.
Yes, more.
It's going on as he throws this sword or small dagger through the clavicle notch area, and you could just kind of feel this, right?
Well, look at the expression on the face. It's just like that guy's in pain.
Yeah, serious pain. He just sort of right there hears him take his last breath. The traitors, the fornicators, the infidels. And then, he's already dead with the through the main jugular area, but he's got to throw the sword through the center mass area of this guy. Yes. The tax collectors, definitely.
It's like they're just making a statement with these kills. Like, if you're gonna be rich, this is what's gonna happen to you.
Yeah. And then we see like the aftermath-ish of this brutal, violent, bloody scene where they pull back a little bit. And this is the first time we get to see the entrance of the Sheriff of Nottingham. Blackthorn. Which I always forget that's kind of his name. I always think in my brain the Sheriff of Nottingham. But his name is Blackthorn. And
I didn't even know he had like a first name.
Which we see later, right? We're about to, maybe.
See you later.
But man,
really soon, actually.
Yeah, that's right. But gosh, all the arrows that just murder the horses, and there's like just so many arrows that just riddled through here.
So many. A little overkill, especially with the horses. I mean,
yeah, they're dead. Why'd they got to put 47? Yeah, what did they do? Put 47 arrows into each one? Like that just takes time. How many minutes did it take of just one arrow after the other into the horses?
Because it's only one guy at this point, right?
Yeah, basically. I mean, I kind of assumed there was probably other merry men involved in this. We just kind of show the close-up murders, like the personal ones, the get up in your face.
Yeah.
What I thought, because they're never really alone, right? The merry men, they're always kind of doing this collectively. But is Ev his first name? That's what they say, where he says Ev?
But I think it's Everend is like his full. But Alan, who was another character, is just introduced. Like his basically right-hand man.
Okay.
Calls him Ev.
Yeah.
So, because this is Alan, what do you have for me? And he's like, Ev or Eve? I don't know.
Probably Ev.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it's neat that they point out at the bottom of that page that this is the last tax collector left in Nottinghamshire.
Yeah, and they filled that guy full of arrows.
Mm-hmm.
That was a statement.
Yeah, definitely statement. And then page 4, I think this is a way we see Blackthorn sort of interpreted is in the shadows, right? This top page of 4, how it's almost like the shadow is bleeding out of his eyes, like he's got black tar coming out of his face and ears.
Yeah, because you don't even see his eyes.
Tiny little white specks, like maybe, right?
Yeah.
I love the way they portray him, like he reminds me of Spawn. You remember Spawn? A movie from the 90s-ish, or the comic?
Kinda.
No? Okay.
Very vaguely.
Vaguely. But it's, even or a little on the Venom side of things, because it's just this black, tarry ooze kind of thing. They really kind of show Blackthorn in that way, making him like he's always in the shadow, or that his cape, right, or his cowl, or both, whatever, for Ev, is like, it gets bigger and bigger. Sometimes in scenes, it's like this entire thing that's covering, like Batman does sometimes, where the cape seems to grow and cover everything, and then other
like
times it's small.
Little head, but ginormous like shoulders, and the cape is just going all the way across. He's massive.
Yeah, or like the cape's alive.
Like ginormous.
Yeah, like the cape is Venom.
Yeah, definitely. It does seem like the cape at some points seem like it is like bat wings or something.
Yeah.
Or like it's weird.
And like there's no way. Like I remember later on we see him, Sheriff of Nottingham, on top Blackthorn, on top of a wagon or something like this, and his cape is like filling the night sky. And there's no way he would get tied up in that thing. It would just run him over. Like, the whole capes thing from Incredibles comes into mind. Every moment he'd be tied up and people would just be grabbing it. But it's never that element. No one's ever grabbed it in any of the fights, right? They've never grabbed Blackthorn.
Took advantage of that.
Nobody. But I like that.
They just pull it off him, and it's just like this little tiny guy.
Yeah, he's a tiny little guy. Weighs like 80 pounds.
Yeah.
But that's a comic thing, like even in my own comic that I'm writing, Zombie Destroyers, they have a car, and the car just is never broken. It's just one of those comics things you can do. The cape is never disturbed, and it gets bigger or smaller. We just never discuss that. It can cover the entire night sky, or it can be really tiny and barely touch the ground. They don't discuss it. It's just there. Right?
Yeah. I think it's like just moments throughout where, like, because like at the bottom of this page, his cape's normal.
Yeah.
Like
it shrinks.
Just, yeah. I feel like it's like when something really important is about to happen, or like a fight or something, it's like him puffing out his chest or something like that. Like it just gets bigger. It's like some of the other characters throughout this that are like big dudes or important. They seem to get really big and have little tiny heads, but really big. It just seems like something's gonna happen.
Yeah, I'm sure this artist Volk is using that as a storytelling element, right? Like you said, puffing your chest. Something's about to happen. Action is kicking off, right? And it's just like things swell. Yeah,
definitely.
And then compress later when there's not much happening and they're talking. It's a compression. I like it.
Yeah, that's at least what I feel like is going on. But
yeah. Well, he gets a clue at the bottom of the next page, which I think is page 12 and maybe page 5, that he gets sort of a clue. He sees some red hair, and he's like, "This. Then it seems I need to have a little chat with the lady of the house." So here we go. We're about to meet a main character in the Robin Hood lore. First, which is the next page, Nottingham itself, the castle. We got to have a good back, a kind of pulled back look of what this castle is that sort of everybody wants. The Game of Thrones, the ideal home spot, the winning, the winning. This is the finish line. Like this is what everyone's sort of fighting for. They want this, right? This is the sort of. Yeah, you think that?
Yeah, I mean for sure. This is the place. Mm-hmm. It's huge. I mean, it looks massive, and like with the blackness on the sides of the bridge. Seems kind of like makes it more seem like it's like the only thing around.
Yeah,
and everything else is like doesn't matter.
And then it's up in the sky almost because like the black part of where the ground is or where the moat. I would imagine there being a big moat there. It just sort of blacks out, so you don't know is this thing like way up in the sky. Like it just gives you
makes it seem like it's just huge, like its importance.
Yeah, the scale of it as we see Blackthorn kind of pulling up to the front of it. And then there is the Lady Marian. Lady Marian, which I love without spoiling it too much, I love what we think of her at the beginning and then sort of where she is at sort of the end, or even beyond this I might be thinking about too. But so far we just think she's, Blackthorn is like, you've got to be involved in something bad here. Like, you're not being honest, Marian. And she's just very casual, and she's like, no, believe what you want. Like, not really involved in stuff, right?
Yeah.
And just playing.
See, another thing with, like, them trying to, like, point out important characters without being super obvious, where Robin is there, and, the Lord and him are talking, and he's giant with his little head.
Yep.
So it kind of gives you like, I mean, obviously when you hear him say very well Robin, you're like, all right, well there you go. But he looks huge in that scene, and then you go down to the bottom panel and he doesn't look as big.
Yeah,
looks tiny.
Right. And I mean, look at that cape, it's almost to his knees.
Yeah,
it's like the cape on that the bottom of the whatever page that is, page 13, the cape is like way up past his ankles, like almost to his kneecaps. Where for Blackthorn, and we've seen this thing straight up on the ground or 10 feet behind him, right?
And look how he looks. Look how he looks evil right there.
Yeah, he does. You don't see his face at all. Again, that black hole spot in his face.
Yeah, that's creepy.
But yeah, I love the way in that page 14, sort of towards the bottom, how they sort of zoom in on Blackthorn's face as he's talking.
Yeah.
And he has like a very chiseled sort of like American Indian kind of look to him, right? Even his skin tone. This is a very kind of pale face period, right? Yeah. But he seems like very like a Cherokee or something, right? Like Native American, chiselly, muscly face and very dark in tone. So he just stands out, I would think, when there's a lot of other sort of pale-faced people here.
I feel like it's trying to show that he's had some experience.
Yes. He's got a leathery face, right? That's been places.
Yeah, he's definitely been places, that's for sure.
But it continues on, like a little song and dance they're playing here, right? Little. She's not giving him anything. You're obviously getting pointed out here that she's got to be in. There's something going on with Marion here.
She's playing with the strings a little bit.
Yeah. He's trying to be the puppeteer. And he's like, once I've dealt with this situation, you and I are going to have another good, long talk about your role in all of this. And she like whispers into his ear, I look forward to it. Like, there's my Marion. Yeah. End scene. But yeah, I just love that you're just getting a tease. You know that she's not completely honest. There's something happening here.
Definitely.
And at the bottom of that page, look how short his cape is again. Like it's just reeled all the way in now. Look at how tiny everything. The cape on the bottom of page 16, which for me is where she whispers into his ear right below that.
Yeah.
Look at the cape. It's like he's wearing a tiny skirt and it's very little.
Tiny.
I love that. But look at the texturing of color in that shoulder right there to his immediate, and that armor and how it hits the light.
Alan's armor.
Yeah. Look at the detail really there and the coloring, that texture that's there in that whole shoulder. It's just a lot of fun to kind of live there.
3D effects.
Yeah. That perspective.
As the sheriff's busting through the door, ready to go kill a ginger. I guess there's some bad language right here, so.
Oh, yeah.
Forgot about that.
Okay. Well, that's rated R language right there. It's not PG. Oh, the kids. You're right. They've heard it all. But this next page, again, 17, showing all the soldiers going from door to door here. I love the goldish orange yellow and the sort of warm light coming out of every window and everything.
Candlelight.
Yeah.
Blasting through the windows.
And the rain coming, hitting everyone here.
Really gives it that time period vibe.
Totally. Look at the rooftops on the far left. I mean, covered in rain coming down, and there's like just holes and empty spots in the buildings.
Destroyed.
Yeah. They've seen some rough days, this town.
Definitely.
As the Nottingham Guard.
And just like the whole thing of Blackthorn's very, I mean, he seems like he loves his job.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's really passionate, really loyal. Maybe to a fault, but he's very loyal to his people. He'll do with whatever the Lord tells him, or whatever he suspects.
Yeah,
he's just ready to go full-fledged, like sending all these guys out to knock down like every door looking for a ginger.
Right.
Like,
but that Lord too that he had to deal with in a few pages back, right? Talk about just major jerk. But
yes.
But Nottingham, you're right. Blackthorn just has this sense of duty. He has this is his job and this is what he's supposed to be doing. Very
duty driven and super loyal. I mean, like, it seems like he does it almost no questions asked. Like,
true. But I think it's already showing a different side of Blackthorn here. When we think of the Sheriff of Nottingham, we do think about this sort of evil maniac. And he's not really that, right? Yes, he's passionate about his job and he'll do it, and he feels like he's doing it for duty and for the realm, etc. But he doesn't seem like this vindictive, evil, maniac, right?
No, I don't see that too much. I mean, he just wants to figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
But like, if he was crazy, he'd be chopping off the head of every ginger in town.
Right. Like, and we see the merry men being the murderers, and him being like a good cop, sort of. Right.
He's doing his detective work.
Yeah.
I mean, there is some, violence.
Yeah. But I think that's already and when I was, reading this for the first time, my perspective was twisting. It was already like, oh, I kind of thought Blackthorn was like this evil monster. Yeah. And he's really not. He's honestly, like, at this point, like a good cop, what you think about, right? Like, he's a good sheriff.
He's just trying to figure out what's happening to his land where he lives.
Yeah.
Why is this going on? And trying to figure out who's behind it. I mean, they have an idea.
Yeah, kind of. And they know Marion's involved somehow. Did they mention too somewhere in this, I might have already missed, where like that Blackthorn makes a statement, maybe we passed it already, but where he says like, robbing from the rich and giving to the poor, it puts pain and pressure upon the middle class, that taxes get increased for the middle class. I think they mentions that
later.
Oh, okay.
I wanna say. But yeah, like I think he mentions it to Robin later.
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken. Because and then I don't know if you want me to go that far.
No, maybe not yet. Maybe not. We'll get there. But I just think that is a story plot point that carried with me. That was a real strong statement. Like, what Robin Hood is doing in murdering / stealing from people puts
really
pressure.
Who he's trying to help.
Yeah.
Like, it's because the way they're working it, they're taxing the poor even more when the money gets stolen. So it's just hurting them more than anything. Right.
And that just, I think, adds an interesting element to the story where I don't think we've ever really had that posed. Right? It's always like, you steal from the rich and it gives the poor happiness. Like, they don't understand how it affects taxes, And so, again, another gritty kind of real, leaning into real world things, details that make Nottingham, like, extra cool, I think. And
I think so, too.
Yeah. I'm on page 18 now, where, again, it's the ginger search. It's past the door breaking down where Sheriff Nottingham's
interrogating some guys.
And his cape was growing as well. If you look back up to that page, Blackthorn's cape is growing. Oh, yeah. The chest is puffing.
It's just wildly going all over the place too. Like it's
it's the shadow.
Got a mind of its own, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the shadow monster that's attached to him. It's growing as he, leans back on a horse. Like it's growing and getting wild and black, and just shadow is growing. It's cool.
Well, then so it's got like arms almost. It looks like.
Yeah.
But then in some scenes it's just straight
flat. Yep.
Straight cut. Yeah.
It's alive. I'm telling you. I love it. I hope they never. I hope they lean more into it. Honestly.
Yeah.
As a creator, and writer and artist, keep going with that. Make it crazier. It does remind me.
We're about to get to some wild scene with it.
Oh yeah. Go into the next page here, which is I'm again on page 18, which I think we're on. I forgot what page you're on. That's where we start because no pages, so we'll just.
No. He's in a house. Some old lady and her son, I think, or something. And he's kind of just standing over him, and another soldier are standing over the old lady and this ginger.
Yeah.
It's like, we got you.
Yep. Like, you got red hair. It's probably you. When they're not thinking like, hello, Marion. She had red hair, but okay, fine. And I guess these are different people, right? Because he's like, what's your job? This guy's a plowman, a blacksmith. They're bothering white collar people, right? Just workers. Or is it blue collar? I always forget the collars of
blue.
Blue is like a worker. White is the bosses. Anyway.
Yeah.
Forget the collar colors. But these are just cobblers, blacksmiths, regular people that they're beating up and interrogating, but they want to get to the bottom of these murderer / stealing stuff people.
Yeah, and I don't know why they're asking what their occupation is, though. Like, why would it matter? They could still kill.
True. I think it's for us, right? For us as a reader to kind of know.
To see that these are, like, probably lower to middle class folks.
Yep.
And, what they're doing isn't really helping Blackthorn's cause.
Yeah.
In a way, this is what I was talking about. The Merrymen are kind of, and Lady Marian are kind of pulling those strings, getting them to go attack these normal people and turn them against them.
Yeah. Definitely.
So
yeah, it does. It definitely leans more into, again, Blackthorn being kind of a monster, but not
his. I wouldn't say really his fault.
Right. This is kind of how brutal the world was. Yeah, he's being manipulated, and this is how brutal. This is like a normal. This is in his job description, right? If you will. Yeah. He's not really going beyond his job description. He's got to torture some people, find out some information, and get to the bottom of solving it. So I'm moving forward a little to page 20, where we're out of the sort of interrogating regular folk, and it's just kind of a cool running on the rooftop scene with the ginger hair flowing, and the
actual Merryman running away.
And this is the 9-page. By the way, their 9-panel sort of a setup here, which is very much Watchmen. You've heard of the Watchmen, right? They do their comic is constantly in this 9-panel per page sort of thing. There's some great storytelling here that can be moved. It's moving really fast. It's it's a chase scene, a lot of rain going on, and I love the of course the descriptors, the onomatopoeia at the bottom, clunk, slick, slap. It's just classic comics as they're having a rooftop chase here.
Yeah, it's really, and the rain coming down, and they're not supposed to run with knives. I mean,
yeah.
Mom never taught them that, I guess.
Yeah, they're breaking that rule. They probably have scissors in their pockets too. Just 5 sets of scissors and then 3 swords, and they're just running. Yeah, I'm sure that was a lot of how people died in these days, just from running with sharp things.
But look, there's that cape again.
Yeah.
Like right when they meet swords, the cape is just kind of like right there in between them.
Yep. Pulls
it's
in.
Not even like kind of enveloping the ginger, like.
Yeah.
And the one where it looks like lightning's coming down, or I guess is that lightning, or that just effect?
Where is that? Oh, okay.
And just the cape is just kind of like swooshing all around.
Yeah. Oh, it is lightning. You're right. Look at how it. You're right. Where the lightning is on that page 21, the cape it's like 12 feet out. You're right, enveloping him. And he still doesn't grab the cape, twist it around his arm, use it in any way to make an advantage over Blackthorn. No, it's just sort of there.
Yeah,
we don't talk about it.
It's just like Blackthorn is just, it's his power.
Yeah.
That makes him super powerful, and it's taking the other guy over. He can't win this fight.
Yep.
And he doesn't.
Nope. Sword kind of goes through the side of him, or even direct. I guess it's from the water motion. It's
like
he's
slash.
Yeah, it's schlick right there, which is a great sound effect as that sword slices the side of this guy. And you notice too. I noticed that when Nottingham or Blackthorn again. When he gets into fights, he also he'll be really getting his butt kicked. He's not impervious. He gets hit and kicked, but also he very quickly heals. He has a healing power, which they don't discuss, right?
Cape.
You notice that? Yeah, it's the cape. You're right. So
he does rebound really quick. I've noticed that too. But I feel like it has to do with his past. He's seen a few things. Like he knows how to deal with it.
Yeah.
He's just a tough dude.
He's seriously tough. He'll get stabbed, and he's a tank with a living cape around him.
Yeah.
And then he drops an F-bomb at the bottom of page 22. As the cape reels all the way in, the cowl just right in.
I feel like he definitely... That's like a perfect timing for that dialogue right there.
Yeah.
He has to put up this big giant fight with this guy, and then he's just exhausted.
Yeah. This page 22, is probably one of my favorite pages art-wise, just because of the rain, the 3 panels. Look how, like, it's honestly like a single-page splash, right? But they just throw 3 panels up at the top to move the end of that fight around. And then, as he says, the F and Ginger. Just look at that rain and how the cement, and the sort of...
And the rain bouncing off of his cape.
Yeah.
Like, see that? Where it's just he's got the water dripping down his chin and the rain just bouncing right off.
Yeah, that is awesome. Again, some of that toothbrush paint speckly thing going to give that effect of the rain hitting his giant alive cape. So cool.
I really like that.
Just want to live in that moment for a second and just kind of look at that at the bottom of page 22. So moving on to 23, we get a torture scene. Pretty much a regular day in Nottingham. Just was getting tortured and beaten up. It's just normal. It's just a 9 to 5.
They found their man.
Right.
This is... Now they just need to figure out. And then, like, another one of those close-ups of Blackthorn with that just scarred almost looking face, and
barely see his eye again, like it's just a dot.
Yeah,
you're right. Good point.
All you have to do is tell us who Hood is, and where Sherwood, the Merry Men, are hiding.
Yep.
Where in Sherwood? Yeah, like he doesn't want. It doesn't seem like he really wants to be doing this.
Yeah.
He just wants to know. Like, get to the bottom of it.
Yeah. Where's the secret base?
Doing his little cult chant thing.
We are the cure. England is sick. We are the cure. England is sick. We are the cure. Yeah, his mantra. And then he just gets his midsection torn apart. A huge punch, a whump.
Ooh.
Yeah, more torture.
Broken ribs right there.
Yep. More torture on 24. He's like, "Who is Hood? Who is Hood?" As he's just
beating him to a pulp.
Yeah. Next bottom panels, he's like pretty much covered in blood. He's like, it's bleeding out of every orifice.
And it's just all red. It's all red, like it's just dripping all over the place.
And then we see, Blackthorn's patience. It's just a matter of time. He'll tell us everything we want. Like, he's been there, done that with the whole torturing thing.
Yeah, he knows. He knows how it works.
So next page 25, they mention it's Manor Fitzwalter. Does that mean that Maid Marian is in a different castle? She's not in Nottingham.
I don't know.
I think so.
It must be, because he just kind of waltzes on in there. And
yeah, I would think that couldn't be done in Nottingham. They're all on red alert for the Merry Men. So here it is, Fitzwalter. It must be in a castle nearby. We don't get a layout of it, but clearly Marian is in cahoots.
Yep, she knows what's going on. She's, like I said before, she's playing both sides.
Playing both sides.
Her advantage.
As she's just sewing, just a regular night of sewing something.
As Robin just climbs through the window.
And here it is, Robin Hood of Locksley, right? The first time we see his face. Again, take note of the small things on his mask. The little soul patch under the chin. He's got 2 soul patches. I think that's a little unique. Do you think they sit around and with their merrymen masks and add a little this to it, little hair, little details? You think
possibly add the because I'm looking back on the very first guy, and he doesn't have any of that. At least not the patches, and he doesn't even have the little mustache.
Oh yeah,
it's underneath. So that's definitely unique, at least now, to Rob.
And subtle, right? It's not really in your face with that the Merrymen's masks. They're red mostly with the big giant white teeth, but they have little tiny details that make them a little different.
Makes them personal.
You need that in comics too, just something to differentiate characters, or you get confused sometimes.
Yeah.
Who is that?
Definitely with this, because there's parts where they're all wearing the masks, so it's helped to be able to know, well, none of those are Robin, because that is not what his mask looks like.
But they're having a little chat here, which is interesting, and then at the bottom of page 26 there, you get a just extreme zoom in on Robin Hood's Merryman mask, the red with the teeth, and the little mustache, you're right, and the dual soul patches. But, yeah, I like that. And there he's just talking about how, Blackthorn is a hard man, but he'll make him talk. So, he knows.
That's why they have to go deal with it.
Yep, got to deal with it. So this is the attack upon Nottingham to get the guy that's being tortured, to sort of end him so he can't say things. So they know he knows stuff. He's going to give it up. Blackthorn's got him. They got to make an assault into the castle and get this guy dealt with.
Killing one of their own.
So yeah, it's like they're already in there, and that again, it's Robin Hood, because it's the same. The Merryman mask is Merryman mask, and then bottom of 27, I love that the black face, the black whole face, and the teeth just showing. I get the very bottom of 27, red background like that. It's just a beautiful, glorious page right there.
Oh yeah, that smile.
Yep.
Ooh.
Keys in hand.
And then the next page where he's saying his little chant directly to one of his own people, like as if it's basically him telling him that this is like for the greater good.
Yeah.
You've got to die in order to cure the sickness.
Ugh. It's all for the cause, dear. As we are the cure.
He screwed up by getting caught.
Yep. He failed. We are the cure. Like, I for 1 second when he says we are the cure, I did think of the the band The Cure. And some of their sort of evil sad songs came into my brain. But this is also reusing that first part of part 1. This is the reusing of that pose.
Yeah.
With the characters that were inside the shadow below. This is
Definitely
reusing that. This is where it came from. They reused it in that part 1 thing, but here's where we get to see it, and it's glorious violence as he hits him with a mace?
Yeah, something like that.
Just gruesome.
Stick with a bunch of pointy things. That would
As
hurt.
his head basically explodes like a melon.
Yeah.
So,
But that's not like, he's not killing him with an arrow. So it's not the typical way of killing. So, he's setting it up.
Yep.
For the future.
Setting it up. But that's the end of basically the first issue. We're at the end of part 1. Man, I thought, like, if I had to rate this as a first comic, again, it was the one that hooked me. I gave it 5 stars, like 5 out of 5. It's got so many little interesting storytelling elements, the character design, the look of it, the violence. What would you give it out of 5 star, and what were your thoughts there for part 1?
I would probably give it a 5 star too. I mean, again, I don't read very many comics, but like this definitely hooked me because just the violence was not what I was really expecting at first.
Yeah.
Going into a Robin Hood story. And just like, I like the detective aspect of it. Blackthorn doing his investigations and him seeming like kind of like a broken man, kind of partially. Like he seems partially defeated, but also like he's gonna get to the bottom of whatever is happening or what's going on. Who's trying to take over his area.
Yep. But yeah, setting
like
up
all those aspects, like just the creepiness of the Merrymen. They're just super creepy.
Yeah, that it leaves a really visually striking look with those masks, the red masks and the giant teeth. Like, so well done.
Yeah.
If they were
Especially
just like
the
guys
scenes with the darkness and just the smile.
Yeah. If they were just guys, right? Wouldn't have the whole...
wouldn't do the same effect. Wouldn't be as creepy.
Right. Adds a kind of comic booky element to it, I guess, too, right? Masks, little bit of a dip into superhero stuff because they got masks on. So I think that's well done, really smart.
Well, it's kind of way, they hide their identity so they can be within your people without you even realizing that they're there. I mean, obviously, this guy got away with it for a while until he slipped up, and he doesn't know who he's talking to. Could be a merry man, like a lot of those other people that he was talking to. Some of those guys could have been part of the merry men, but you just don't know.
You don't know. Well, part 2, let's jump right in. We do have another sort of a parchment-backed sort of silhouette moment where Alan is sitting there. His face also very leathery, very ragged, very scar-riddled. And he has that also black sort of silhouette down below him where there's art built into the silhouette of which looks like a scene we're going to see later in like the sort of Crusades. Yeah. We're gonna get a little backstory of
major fight
of Blackthorn. And so, again, digital reader, page 30, and we see a kind of a three-panel single page with Blackthorn in the middle, and the sort
this
of
is really cool.
Yeah, so cool. Like Crusades on the left and Alan on the right, kind of current day. Left side is like the past, and maybe currently in the middle with Blackthorn. And I believe that was the cover of issue 2. Anyway. I think it was. Yeah, you only read it that way. But we're in the dungeon again, where we now find the of course the merryman that was hidden in the bowels of the dungeons of Nottingham Castle has been ended by Robin Hood, and they're
bludgeoned to death.
Yep, with whatever that's a mallet or a mace or whatever that thing was, the spike ball that made his head blow up like a melon. And then we quickly, as he's going to go into investigation mode, we see 1191, the Holy Land. So these are the Crusades. What did you think of this flashbacky moment?
Well, I thought it was cool because it showed kind of why he's such a badass, I would say. Like, I mean, look at what he's going up against. Yeah. It's just so much death around him, and I mean, there is no backing down. These people are just like it says, form up, charge.
Yeah. Just hordes and hordes and hordes. And how did he live through it without his cape? Also, he's weird without...
just murdering... Well, I wouldn't say murdering because, they're fighting, but just killing people left and right. And, like, he's just slashing, splash.
Yeah. That page, again, I think we see the bottom of 32 is where that Crusade silhouette is used in the very top of the beginning of part 2. That's the dark silhouette section. Yeah. And this is their Crusade. Their Holy Crusade. And yeah, there's a fight scene that's just great with a younger version, but it doesn't look like it was too long ago. Like he's,
No, yeah. A little younger, but... Yeah, I don't know. It's just...
I wish we knew the year, because we'd said 1191 for the Crusades. Did it say what year, how many years had passed since? I don't remember them saying... Because it says 1191 here. Was there a year that we missed somewhere?
So I'm going to try to go back to the very first...
You flick through
1192. Loxley 1192 on the very first page.
Oh. Well, then this is only a year ago?
A year later, yeah. That's weird.
That's pretty...
A year before.
Yeah, it's a tight amount of time. You went from fighting the Crusades to the sheriff at Nottingham, months apart. Yeah, I guess the date... They could have just left the date out. It would have been fine.
True.
Could have just left it. It's some time in the past. But yeah, more brutality, more insane-looking cool violence. You got armor going on this time, and just splash and clish and all this just brutal... Look at the battlefield on the page of 33. It's just like they're standing in a lake of blood.
Yeah, and there's bodies everywhere. Like, I'm trying to figure out which. Oh yeah, and that one when he's like splash.
Yeah,
just swinging the sword around.
Yeah, sword's like 5 feet long. Look at the length of the sword. Yeah. Crazy battle here and flashback.
Stabbing that guy in the stomach.
Yeah. Ugh. But the interesting point of this is towards the end, right? Let's see, from what I remember, as he's still just killing people on 34 and 35, and he kind of walks away until the streets were littered with the dead, and there's just like, again,
he does get stabbed, so he doesn't go 100% without getting injury.
The back of his leg there,
yeah,
guy has like a spear or whatever.
Snaps it right out. Ooh.
As in the next panel, as he walks away, though, there's no blood in his leg. See, boom, healed. He's good. He's gonna walk away. But again, not criticizing. It's just the way comics move. Sometimes it's just the way they go. They could have just put a little blood splatter on his leg there to keep it, a little consistent. But hey, it's comics. We move on.
But now they're guiding all these.
Oh yeah.
Prisoners, I guess. Mm-hmm. Prisoners or refugees. I don't know what we consider them. Until they get the order to just murder all of them.
Yeah.
That's murdering. They killed all these women and children.
Yep.
That's why I feel like Blackthorn, at least, now, or whatever, 1192.
Uh-huh.
He's kind of a broken man because of what he had to do.
Yeah.
To all those innocent people.
Really a nice character point into Blackthorn, adding layers.
You see him crying at the very bottom panel with those black eyes.
Right. He has like great white eye. You ever see great white sharks that just have those black dead eyes? Black. Yeah. That's what it kind of reminds me of, but he is crying. Yeah. Good point. You don't see him murdering the children, the silhouette scene, right? Maybe he just, but I think he admits to participating in that, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think later it was an order and he follows his orders.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, he did to the letter. But you could tell it's a regretful moment for him, like in that.
Oh yeah,
that's a key element into his character, I think. But
I think from there it changed him.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. He'll still do what needs to be done, but I think there's. I feel like there's a line that he draws right there, like he won't do something like that for somebody else ever again.
Yep, you're right. I think that's a strong. It feels like that's foreshadowing, right? It's gotta. Yeah. It's gonna come back one day. This next panel, next page 36 is that Lord telling him to do things. It's almost like it's gonna lean right into that, where he's gonna be like, just kill them all. I've given you your orders. This guy's such a major jerk, the Lord of Nottingham. But
he just wants to be safe. He just wants to be protected. So he'll do whatever he can to keep what he thinks is his.
Yep. And at the bottom of 36, he's like, well, Sheriff, what say you about this gross dereliction of duty? He just drives into him, poking him. Poking him. And he keeps his cool, though, with this guy. He just keeps his cool where he just wants to drive a sword right through him, this Lord. But he keeps his cool. Like he's like really trying to stay on the detective point here and not get emotional. Yeah. He's like, "Oh yeah, let me just stay on point here and do my job." And this Lord's like, "Well, things are mad and this is crazy and we must now kill everyone." And he's going crazy. This guy's like, Blackthorn's like, "Look, just trying to do my job. Let's all relax. I'll kill you later.
We'll find out what happens. We'll find the traitor.
Yeah,
the guy doesn't traitor. What?
Right. It's a regular day at work for Nottingham. He's like, "Look, boss, just I'm on this." And he's like, "Alan, gather the guard. Let's get this rolling." And so this is kind of cool. This to me, this whole next sequence from like 38 for a few pages is very cop procedural, right? The interrogation room.
Definitely different than finding the ginger. This is definitely handled more like a cop and less, a different type of cop.
Right. But it's got the table.
More by the book.
Right, by the book. It's got a table. It seems like a single light source. You know what I mean? There's the one cop probably coming in saying like, let's get him a cup of water, and then the other going slapping the water away, and we need to find out. It's like bad cop, good cop thing happening.
Definitely see that. Yeah.
They drop the that murder weapon, the mace on the table, and he's like, "Have you seen this?" And it's just you can tell they're interrogating their internal staff. But you're right, it's not a torture scene. It's like just interrogation.
More of like trying to like figure out like by visual cues who reacts when, especially dropping the murder weapon on the table.
Yeah.
Being like, "Is this your weapon?"
Never seen this weapon before in my life. Liar! But also they're trying to find out where the inadequacies happened, like who dropped the ball. And a little bit this is like who's going to get fired and or beaten to death. Yeah, I don't know what they do when you're fired in those days.
Yeah.
Right? They're trying to find out.
Clean out the bathroom.
Yeah. And so that's what happens here in the next few pages, which we'll kind of zip through. But it's great, just dialogue here. And as they get down to like, I'm on page now 40. I'm scrolling through a little bit more, dropping the murder weapon on the table again. And I believe this belongs to you. Make sure you get it cleaned up. So they even realized it's, Robin killed someone with one of his officers' weapon.
Yeah.
So it's like, aren't you supposed to like keep hold of your weapon, for crying out loud? Like, why does someone else have it?
Well, the whole thing of where he drops on the table and to see which hand he picks the weapon up with, because he knows that the guy that was killed was struck by a lefty.
Right. Great.
So
great little bit of detective work here going on.
He knows that he was set up, but now who set him up?
And it's more tower guards that are coming in. I love his bowl haircut, by the way, on 41. It's a thing of glory. When I was a little kid, my mom used to give us bowl haircuts, so I can relate to this guy's why he looks so sad that his mom gave him a bowl haircut. I know, I feel his pain, but it seems like this guy's just kind of a doof,
Yes,
he just
he definitely looks. He looks like a goofball. Like...
Yeah. For Star Trek-y people, he's kind of a lower deck. He's kind of a guy. People that are into that, they'll know what I'm talking about. He's definitely oh, Captain, I'm sorry. Like, not the he's like 3 steps away from being a pirate, He's just
like
not...
They gave this guy a wall to watch that nobody is going to go through.
Yeah, they gave him a low priority job that he had one thing to do and he blew it. And I love the eyes where the story now of Robin Hood in his recollection is turning him into this grinning demon, cloaked and cowled. They call it Hood, and his eyes are glowing like this weird demon green.
And it's just like going up into the...
Yeah.
Like and then how he jumps away.
Yeah.
He leaps away and he just looks like he's like got wings and he's just flying.
Mm-hmm. And that's again the ridiculous story of this nudge, as this Hood is some sort of supernatural being. I love this bottom of page 42. It's like this purple forest and the blackness, and then those glowing, steaming green eyes. And Alan just kind of slaps his hand to his face, like, ugh. And you didn't raise the alarm? Like, didn't think to raise the alarm, you doofus?
Like, yeah, right? He's like, I was afraid. You're
like, that'll be all, boy. Just get out of my sight. But, they're definitely... And this is still going on with more interrogations. I'll go through, but it's not an area... It's an area to really spend some time and read. Don't skip it. It's got some great... and then they even show the guy that he blew it in his spot to go have an evening with a lady of the night. As we get down to the bottom of 45. Yeah. So all the little sort of inadequacies.
Like, we know just where you were, buddy. He's like trying to lie, and they're like, no, we know what's going on.
Right. You were with a lady of the night. She came through it this time. And so they found all the sort of holes as to how Robin made it through. And as we get to 47.
Well, this is where we find out who was really supposed to be there.
Uh-huh. And they're at the postern gate. So it's Alan.
Yeah.
Big reveal here. It's the right-hand man.
Man.
Yeah, the RHM. Alan. And the two of them are about to go fist to fist, cuff to cuffs, whatever, fisticuffs. And I love this setting. They're like at the top of the castle. It's kind of flooded with water, and it's almost like a gladiator arena. They step down into it, and you can go to the stairwell to get out, but it's like the stage is set here for a brutal fight, right?
Yeah, this fight is happening. And you can tell Blackthorn obviously says, don't do this. He doesn't want to kill his friend. It's basically his friend.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have a right-hand man that's not your buddy.
Yeah.
So, but they go at it, and man, it's a pretty fair fight.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a brutal fight, but he's like, Alan's like, I have a family to protect.
Yeah. I mean, he has his reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. I can see his side of things for sure.
Bottom of 49, the cape is coming to life. Get ready. It looks like a giant claw behind him that's sticking out 6 feet behind him.
That's wild.
Yeah, he's puffing the chest like you said. And the close-ups of Nottingham getting punched,
getting punched in the face.
Blackthorn, yeah, just brutal. And his eye is seemed like he just popped that whole eye casing in his face.
Oh yeah, his eye gets swollen shut, and he's bleeding from the nose. But Alan doesn't look that bad off, at least.
No.
Pretty much
unscathed.
Blackthorn he's getting pummeled, and he's showing injury,
which will go away quickly, I'm sure. Don't think about that. But yeah, it's like he's taking body shots. Alan's mostly taking body shots, I guess, but then right towards the panel. I love the explosive, and I love this element in comics. Heck, I do it in my own, like 51 right in the middle. Those the explosion behind them of color. The action explosion, I call it. You see that?
You won't, and then we go into you're right, I won't, and just boom.
Look at how it goes from purple to blue. There's purple is when Blackthorn punches Alan, then when Alan sort of retaliates, then it's blue explosion. That's just something I love in comics. And did you notice that at all?
No, I didn't really notice that until now.
Yeah. You're going too fast. Slow down. You gotta you gotta live in that moment for a sec. Just kind of revel in it. And even more purple.
Then also right when it says you're right, I won't, and the cape is enveloping most area.
Oh yeah.
Besides that explosion of color in the background.
That's a thing of beauty. You're right. It's again getting ready to surround Alan in the black venom cape that he has. And then 52, we're looking like this fight's about to end with
big uppercut.
Yep, huge uppercut, crack. Look at the cape all the way along the sides there. It's just giant.
Yeah.
It goes from 4 feet to the right of Alan to 6 feet to the right of Blackthorn. This thing is now giant. It's 12 feet in diameter.
That's huge.
It's huge.
But then, Alan's saying that he's sorry.
Yeah.
He did this for his family. I mean, it's pretty real right there.
Yeah. And that's the end of issue 2. I mean, that was such a great... This was way faster, less dialogue.
Yeah,
Page 2 was
definitely.
Just moving. Maybe some of those interrogation scenes had some bit of back and forth there.
Yeah, but it wasn't too much. This one definitely moved a whole lot faster.
Right.
A good chunk of it was the fight scenes right here.
Yeah.
Against them, but
which is beautiful.
Really enjoyed. Because my favorite parts was the fights between them, or the fight between both of them, because they're both struggling. Neither of them want to do that to each other.
Yeah, true.
But Blackthorn has his duty to his lord, and then Alan has his duty to his family. So, and Blackthorn, I don't think, has a family, so
right.
His job is his life.
He has less to fight for. Alan has more to lose.
Exactly. And that's why I feel like he comes out on top on this fight.
Yep. He drops the mic and walks out, and just a great ending scene there. It was just so wonderful.
And he pulls the sword, but he doesn't kill him.
Yeah, leaves him alive.
Strange, yeah, because the sword's in the sheath.
Yep.
The whole fight until the very end.
Yep.
So it's like he's making a point, like, I could kill you, but I'm not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, big point there. It's like, we are friends. I do respect you, and I'll let you live.
Yeah.
Round 2 later. And we get part 3. So we're beyond the halfway point. This is another beautiful silhouette, which I'm sure is a peek into a flash forward page in part 3.
Yes.
53 on the digital reader. Sword just sort of heading towards us, but disappears, is gone. And what do we see at the bottom in that?
It looks like a ship in the ocean.
I don't think I picked up on that one before. I might have kind of quickly went through.
It's really hard to tell.
Where's the ship? Oh, yeah.
Top right portion of that black shadow.
Oh, so it's like on a big swell.
Yes, I think this is a flashback again.
Crusades?
The Crusades, yeah.
That sort of holy symbol that's on the sail of the boat.
Yeah.
Good point. So, oh man.
Next page is kind of, yeah, so it's...
Pretty sure that's the cover of, again, I think these are the covers, the original covers.
Be a good idea.
Yeah, I think that's where they are. But you notice too how that knight, his cloak is like sort of enveloped the night sky too, because there's like stars in it. Like he's this omnipresent being in the night sky with stars all enveloped inside of him. He's like this god, right?
Very true. The star in his one eye.
Yeah, that's great. That's like the North Star right there for,
And the ship is battling this stormy weather.
That's just a beautiful cover. Like, man.
Yeah, it's really nice.
That's just gorgeous and dark and ominous and also like godlike.
This issue or this part is probably one of my favorite ones. Especially with the dialogue. Like the note basically that's being read throughout the whole, like every panel or almost every panel. I really enjoy that. I mean, just how it's basically Alan, leaving a letter to his best friend about, why he did what he did and like explain.
Wow, and he says he's sorry too. In that letter.
Yeah.
He was like, "Dear Ev, like I'm sorry. I need you to know that it wasn't personal." They definitely have respect for each other, or at least,
for sure.
Or at least Alan for Ev anyway.
I think Blackthorn did too. It's just he's so driven by duty.
Yeah.
He'll do whatever he needs to do to, uphold his end.
Yeah, for the realm, for the good of the realm. Yeah. He'll do what needs to be done. But there's also two things happening. The letter's explaining one thing in this apology, and then we're seeing these soldiers with hounds going somewhere and Nottingham pointing like this way.
There he is. He's hunting them down.
Yeah. And he fled the castle. I mean, Alan left, so will we see him again? Will there be a round 2? Those are things rolling around in my head. We haven't seen the end of Alan and Ev battles, right?
Nope. Well, not really, no.
Nope. So we see this sky shot of Kirklees Abbey.
Kirklees Abbey.
And this is going to be the stage. This is going to be the centerpiece of this next comic. Part 3 might be my favorite, like you said, maybe my favorite of the 3. I know this thing is ramping up. Sometimes you get in comics 1 and 2 are amazing, and then 3 kind of dips down, maybe shows some dialogue. I think 3 might be my favorite. That's another reason I'm hooked.
It just has a ton of information in it, but not like too much dialogue. I mean, there's dialogue, but explaining how Blackthorn got, to where he was, and the Crusades and everything, and then why he's a changed person after that, and also with Alan, his story.
Yeah, and you're right, it ties in the Crusades being this holy war that he was on the side of pushing his religion to other people, right? And if you don't if you're not his religion, then he had to kill you.
Yeah.
And right to the sort of current present day in this Kirkley Abbey, which is like a monastery, right? It's like a it's like
for all these
holy place.
all these guys.
And that has this like then had like a layer of holy protection. Like you don't go there, you don't cross into
if
there.
Somebody seeks asylum, they're safe.
They're safe.
You don't.
And it's
sanctuary.
Even like this invisible barrier of, look, we may not do anything to you, and you can try to do what you wish to here, but you have to. You're holy. You have to face at the holy gates.
God's wrath.
Right, God's wrath. So this shows you right here in some fantastic dialogue as I move through, like all the way to 58, where he's standing there, the hounds and his soldiers are behind him, and then there's all the holy clerics over to the right side with that whatever the name of that place was behind them. Just a great pullback setting of like what we're dealing with. They want to go to the monastery, and the clerics are like, I don't think so, and you'll burn in hell. And we have the backstory to understand where Blackthorn's coming from here. He's like, I regretted killing in the name of the church. It's not something I really believe in anymore, and I'm going to go forward and find the culprit and find these merry men, and like my soul's already damned is kind of what he says in here, encapsulates it somewhere, right? He's like,
things that he did for the church. Definitely. I mean, like, and then also look at the cape.
Yeah.
The cape in when there you see the monastery on the right and all the guys, and it's like reaching towards them. And then when it's the shot where Blackthorn and then they're in front of him, and it's kind of like wildly going on both sides.
Look at that. It's like 12 feet out on both sides. Yeah. This thing is insane. Maybe he has it's like how Venom reacts to sound or fire, right? Or sonic pulses. This is how the cape that is alive, for lack of a better name, reacts when holy clerics are nearby. It's like bling, panic, like I'm going 12 feet out, right?
Definitely, this is. I mean, it's wild.
Yeah, totally wild.
He just kind of doesn't even care about the whole damnation thing. So he's like, you know what? We're going regardless.
Yeah. A great scene, page of 59 on top, where he's just like, what would you know of damnation, as he's holding a cleric by the throat. Yeah, we know what he did. We know why he believes his soul is damned to hell. But
he's telling him that he damned him when he sent him over there to the Holy Land.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like he just had. I love that it was like. Again, we have the backstory as to why he's storming the gates at a monastery. We understand what he went through here. Great character development, and it pays off. Like, here it is.
Oh, yeah. Well, then when it goes into 1187, so...
Before the Crusades.
A little bit further, yeah.
Right? Because 1191 was the Crusades?
1191 was the Crusades, and then 1187, just a few years. I mean, he's younger.
Yeah.
Looking.
They could have adjusted these years a bit, like, or even just left it off. You could have just said a long time ago. That's all you got to do. It's a storytelling element. Don't get too caught up in the actual years. Then it makes us do math, and we're like, he looks like 20 years younger here, and this is only 5 years ago. Yeah, it's only 5 years. Although everyone lived to be only like 30 something in these times, right? So maybe
true. Yeah, they didn't live very long. But like, all right, so I will say this is my favorite. Part 3 is my favorite, except for. It has singing.
Yeah, this is
like a sea shanty or whatever it.
Right.
I don't think that was needed.
Yeah.
It's kind of random. Like I see that there's like a bard, singing while he's about to fight these two guys in this bar, but I don't think it was really needed to have that and continue it throughout.
I agree with you, man. I've had this struggle with music and comics for years and years and years. I'll try to, in my head, the very first line of it, get the vibe of the sound, and then I'll skip it.
Yeah, see, that's what I was starting to do. I was reading it and trying to get the song going in my head, but then it's like you're trying to read their dialogue and then a random verse from the song and then back to their dialogue and then a random verse. Like, is this as there's a fight scene going on and stuff? Like, I was like, you know what? I'm not even gonna read. I'm just gonna look at the fight scene, and I think it played better that way. Just looking at what was going on rather than reading the singing.
There was a moment in The Witcher. Did you watch Witcher on Netflix?
Yes.
And there's that guy singing in the bar the whole time. You know, it's the same element here. You're like, I know. You know what else I know? A lot of times, writers are smart in comics. They'll tie in that song to sort of what's happening, or to be an undertone of the Nottingham story. I know it's in there. There's a layer, probably, but I find myself going, okay, there's the first part of the song. How pleasant a sailor's life he passes and remain. And then I go, I got it. And I skip it.
Yeah.
So, no, I'm with you, man. It's funny that you found, again, you haven't been exposed. Imagine 40 years of how many songs I've popped up in 40 years of reading comics, how many songs I've seen and skipped. Sorry.
Yeah, it's just, I understand it's to go with the time. You know, bards are in bars or whatever. But...
Bards?
Yeah. I just felt like with that kind of fight going on, the bard is going to stop singing.
Yeah.
It's going to get...
Wouldn't he?
Quiet.
Yeah. Awkward.
Yeah.
But no, he just like, la la la, I'm going to sing the thing, and then the prophet view, and would you not commit? He's like, enough of this! And fights happening, and, you know, like, someone would have thrown a chair would have went flying through and hit the bard. Like, he would have stopped playing a long time ago, I think. But this, more importantly, this is the cleric, right? This is the crusader guy finding Blackthorn. This is the recruiting. This is where
it's basically like he's having this fight in this bar. He knocks the guy out or kills him, you know, and then Blackthorn's running away. He finds a church, and that's when the cleric invites him in. And then there's the whole, you know, welcome.
Yeah, right.
Like, we're gonna
hide you. You're gonna have sanctuary.
Yeah. They're looking for you, and they're gonna find you. Yeah. And
it's a great sequence.
Bust this door down and take you.
Yeah.
So this is your one option.
Yep. You know, they blackmail him. They blackmail him, really, right?
Yeah. Definitely. They're basically like, you have no option. Go join the Crusades. That's your only way of freedom. Yeah. Or else you're just going to be tarred and feathered.
Yeah, or whatever. I got a hint of here too, like that he was probably poor. So in these days, if you did something like this in a bar and hurt someone to that level, or maybe potentially murdered them in a bar fight, you were killed.
Probably head chopped off.
Yeah, or something, right?
Something like that. I imagine there's, especially if the guy he killed was the guy with money.
Yep.
Or importance.
Mm-hmm.
So
then that's as where we get again digital reader page like 62. You know, it shows the guy fall down, shows him that he's potentially hurt. 63, he's a beautiful scene of him running through the rain in this you know, very kind of poor slum-ish kind of whatever. The whole town looks like this, and Nottingham looks kind of like it's just filled with poor people, very little middle class or upper. It's just like the foot of the castle is very it's squalor. And yeah, you're right, banging on the door of the monastery, right? 63 at the bottom.
Oh yeah, I kind of went way ahead. Sorry.
Oh, okay, no worries. I'm getting caught up to you. So then they're having the conversation, right, about like, hey, go kill people for religion, or probably get killed. Yeah. And he's in the boat now. I'm on the page 66 here. This moves. This comic issue moves so fast and so nice. And here's where we get the foreshadowing of the part 3 or whatever of the ocean and the boat. And here we are. And there it is.
More singing.
More singing. Then why should we quarrel for riches? Or like, okay, got it. Moving on. Yeah. A light heart and a thin pair of now I'm doing pirate voice as I hear this song, of course. For some reason they're in a ship.
I didn't even read any of that. I just looked at the visuals, and then I was like, all right, now we're back to present day-ish, you know, whatever.
Yep. Back to the hand on the throat against the tree right at the monastery, and And yeah, look at how Blackthorn's puffed up, right? The feathers
he's angry, and he doesn't care about their whole, God will smite you.
Yep, yeah, you'll be smited. And your sins and penance and kneel and all those words, damnation and worship and faith. And then he's like, F you, advance. And they're storming the monastery. We're gonna get our man. How dare you raise your blade to me? I'm the bloody sheriff of Nottingham. I love that. That's 68. Yeah. And he takes another mace or whatever that thing is. And
I don't know.
A little clang. I like that.
So quick to demonize sheriff.
Yeah. And here we go. We're fighting. These they have again, we have the history, we have the backstory. 69. They're I love the swishing of action in this, right? See the action lines so we sort of know where the swish of the sword is coming from. Little subtle thing they do in comics.
Oh yeah.
You can see the swish coming from there, and just the clang, the sort of explosion of two metal pieces hitting is beautiful. Right?
Oh, so I think this is where he explains it. They steal from Nottingham's tax collectors, and every time they steal, the taxes go up.
Oh, yeah.
They steal from the poor and the giving. It's not even a fraction of what's been taken.
Oh, yeah.
So Nottinghamshire's poor wouldn't be so. So that's him basically saying, Robin Hood's not doing this for the poor. He's doing this for his benefit.
And that's huge. That is a huge, huge plot element.
This whole page. And where he's like, as for where the money is really going, your guess is as good as mine.
Wow.
So that's...
Yeah. He knows the system's corrupt. He knows there's a problem, but he knows that Robin Hood is not solving this problem. He's making it worse. And that twists it. We'll talk about the twist. There it is, in a way, right?
Yeah. Robin Hood's manipulating the poor for his good.
Mm-hmm.
And he's trying to figure out why. What is the purpose of him stealing from the rich, not really giving to the poor?
Mm-hmm.
Just giving them enough to keep them in his pocket, basically.
Yep.
He's paying the poor off to keep them as part of his soldiers.
Yep. Yeah, and then giving it to what was it, Richard the Lionheart, the king that is off in the Crusades? Is he still crusading?
He's crusading still. They're waiting for him to come back, if he even is alive.
Wow.
Still, or he's hoping that he comes back, and when he comes back, he'll have this huge pot of money waiting for him. Wow.
And yeah, that's a big plot point here, and then it's interesting that he's laying out such a big plot point as he's fighting. There's really no time. They could have done that in a quiet moment, or they're standing there. But I'm okay with it because who has the time? You're thinking he's swinging a sword, and he's like, "As for where the money is," nobody. I would have saved it as just a writer. I would have maybe put that in a spot where there's not action happening.
Or it could have been right before.
Exactly.
When they were talking.
He has his hands on his throat still, and just explaining.
This is why this needs to be stopped.
Yeah. And then some brutal, lovely action. Page 70, just fight scenes, just maces and all these crazy medieval weapons flying in directions, and blood and swishes and cracks, and it's just beautiful.
But if you notice, none of the clerics, I guess, none of them besides the one or two in the pictures, just one hit to one of the soldiers. The rest of them are either getting hit or laying down.
Yeah.
About to be killed.
Not really made for fighting, so
no.
I guess the message was clear here. This is not, it's a one-sided fight. They're going to run right over.
They'll defend their monastery, but they're not going to win the fight, basically.
They have God on their side. They have your sins and your damnation and smiting and all that. Yeah. What do they need to be super duper fighters? But and then as this fight's going on, 71, they hear this and this crash, and they're like, "What's going on in there?"
What was that? Yeah.
If they can hear that far out from where they were, it must have been just a blood curdling scream. And then we kind of dip back into the letter, right?
They work together. And we go back into the letter, which we quickly find out is a suicide letter, basically.
Yes. And that's crazy that they timed that out so perfectly. The letter develops to that point. We hear the yell. Like, again, just so well written, the timing of that unveil, if you will. That the whole time, the letter, it's a suicide note. And then times out with his scream, and they get into the room, and you see the feet and the silhouette of Alan hanging from the monastery ceiling. It's crazy.
And then just Blackthorn dropping that F-bomb.
Yeah. And then
he didn't want to kill him. Like, you can just die. Him saying that alone.
Yeah.
He didn't want him to die.
No. I feel like
I don't know what he would have done with him, but I mean,
right.
He didn't want this to happen to his friend.
Yeah, what was he? I mean, there was only a few outcomes, really. Maybe he tortured him, got some information, and let him go, or he just straight murdered the guy. Like, what was? There wasn't. Yeah. It was one of three things that were going to happen, right? Basically. Yeah,
and with the Lord that is watching over everything, I'm pretty sure he would have wanted him dead.
That's true. So. Maybe there was only one other option. So yeah, he does that, and he's like, Alan. You can see the look on 74 of Blackthorn's disappointment that he did respect him too, and I think he respected him too. Like, Alan is a fighter, the guy bested him and let him live. I think in those times there was a little extra respect. I think that maybe Alan earned.
Like that.
Yeah.
True.
And
he gives him this letter and this pendant.
Yeah, like a brooch or whatever, right? Looks like the hand of the king from Game of Thrones. Looks very much like that.
Yeah.
Game of Thrones. Do you watch Game of Thrones? I never really asked you.
Did.
Did you watch the new one?
I watched it. I haven't. It just started like a few days ago, right?
Oh, you mean we're on episode 2 today at 6.
Yeah, but no, like the Game of Thrones, like the show, the first show,
the original.
Yeah, I liked it until the end.
Oh yeah, like most people, yeah.
I was not a fan of how it ended, but it was a great show for a while.
Right. But it looks like that hand of the king
I
brooch.
get that hand of the king, yeah.
Yeah, with the heavy heart, end of the letter, basically, right? And the deepest regret, Alan, and then for his family. Beautiful, but best kept between us for his family. So there he does him a solid. He's returning the favor in a way, right?
Yeah.
Not telling the family he killed himself, and there's his 30 pieces of silver, and again, respect for two warriors. I guess that's probably the best way that would have ended for their situation, right? I don't know.
I think so. I think it was really, I think that's why Alan did it. It was really the only, he saw the outcomes, and he said this is the only way that he can go out on his own terms.
Yeah.
And Blackthorn doesn't have to watch him be killed.
Yeah.
Basically, he doesn't have to watch him be beheaded or whatever the Lord would have made him do.
Yeah. Would have been gruesome.
The Lord might have even made Blackthorn kill him.
Yeah.
He probably wanted to avoid that. So.
And or even just running and being a fugitive for his whole life, like always looking over, like he just, he was like, I just don't want to live that way,
Yeah, and who knows what it would have done to his family too.
Yep.
This way they have some sort of closure.
Yeah. So definitely like an honorable. So in any way, if you can, whatever, you kill yourself, etc. Complicated, but still, maybe the best that could. I don't know. It's complicated. I like all that. It's controversially complicated, and how do you feel about that? But they respected each other as warriors, and I think that's the big message, right? They respected each other. Yeah. So back into the Sherwood Forest. Oh man, some lightning and a horse on 75. Beautiful silhouette in the rain and lightning, etc. Action, blue swooshes, and Maid Marian.
And this ginormous dude with a tiny head.
Mm-hmm. Look at those shoulders on.
He's brooding. Guy is giant.
Yeah. Look at where his head is compared to his shoulders. Like, this is Little John, right? Yeah, Little John.
Yeah, Little John isn't so little.
Yeah. Of course, an ironic name. But man, his shoulders are like literally like 6 to 8 inches above his head. He's the Hulk. I mean,
he's huge.
And he's going to be a character we're going to see more of. He's a formidable character. And the relationship there between Marion and Little John, right?
Yeah, he's like the muscle, I'd say,
Mm-hmm.
to their merry men.
Yep. He's got that striking beard and bald head and sort of the braids in his beard, and the beard's like crazy long. Just great looking character. And I think what's interesting about the bottom of page 76 is that smile. Is the teeth there. Isn't that like Robin Hood's the Merry Men's mask? Like they took that spot and they were like, that looks good. Let's make a mask out of that.
That's just his smile. His mask.
Kind of maniacal, right? And that's the end of that part. As we see part 4 here, a nice parchment backing and a half silhouetted Maid Marian. I love that down below we see just sort of knights battling.
I don't know what kind of knights.
We'll tie into that, I'm sure, like coming up soon.
Knights fighting knights. So, yeah, I don't know.
And then I love this is the cover, of issue 4 with the hundreds of masks behind him. I noticed that Little John's is on the top of this pile, or at least one like his, because he has the horns that come out the sides.
Yeah.
Isn't Little John's like that?
I think so.
I believe so. We'll find that out. But very cool. These almost look like gremlins all around him, or little monsters, little tiny monsters all around him while he's sitting in something.
Like a throne of heads.
Yeah. There you go. Another maybe Game of Thrones reference to the Iron Throne. This is the faces, the Merryman mask throne.
He'll kill all these guys.
Mm-hmm.
End it all.
Right. So we get to see the Lord Jerkus again. Jerkus Lord. A bait too good to resist.
A bait, a plan.
Mm-hmm. A tournament. They love to do tournaments in these times for various reasons.
They don't have TV. No.
Children being born, they don't have wars, and so they put, warriors against each other in times of peace to practice, I guess, I don't know.
Like a show of strength.
Yeah.
Or something.
Somewhere I heard was kind of funny when someone said these tournaments people would, kill each other. Like, why would you want to kill your top fighters? Like, you kind of need them. Yeah. Like, why is everything to the death with your own fighters? And you're just wasting fighters. Like, why have it to the death? But anyway, they they don't have a lot of war. It's peace or whatever, and they have tournaments for this reason.
Well, they probably got money for it. Some of these guys probably aren't super rich.
Yeah,
they probably helped them pay for their living.
But I think this is like asking for problems. Throwing a tournament to kind of unveil the Merry Men or to get them to come out, and you're inviting them into the gates of Nottingham.
Putting a lot of innocent people in harm's way.
Yeah.
That's
or they're just too close to the prize. Like if some things go wrong, they could very well lose this castle. You got all of the Merry Men in there. Yeah. Like it's just kind of inviting problems. I think it's too much of a bold idea and maybe not completely thought through. We'll see as we go through this.
I don't think it was completely.
The tournament has begun, right? They're doing their thing, and this is medieval times. Welcome to medieval times. This is where the chicken comes out, and you don't get any silverware, and you have to eat the little chicken, and then they all have colors and flags, and you're yelling for your colors, and isn't there? I think in a minute there's a falcon that goes around the arena. I'm describing every moment of medieval times. If you haven't been, did you ever go to medieval times? Yeah,
a long time. I went to that little pirate thing not too long ago.
That's not good. Yeah.
No, it's not.
It's not good.
It wasn't good.
Patsy, my wife Patsy loves medieval times. I don't know if I ever told you this, but like almost every year, like before COVID, she wanted to always go to medieval times. We've been so many times. It's her thing. I think that's why she loves Game of Thrones so much. It's just kind of that whole.
I mean, it's a cool experience for sure. I think.
We even had
yearly.
My stepson, yearly. My stepson played football with a guy that was a knight, so we knew one of the knights. We were like, "Hey, how you doing?" Nice. But we spent a lot of time in medieval times.
Very cool. I mean, I think it's a cool experience, definitely.
Right. Eating the chicken really with your hands,
try
food.
to immerse you in.
Yeah. They do. But here we go. The tournament has begun. Beautiful. Coloring, clashing. It's jousting. It's a much brighter feeling and thing going on, right?
Yeah. It's like happy times.
Mm-hmm.
Happy times. Except for Blackthorn. Blackthorn is black. I mean, it's just...
It is. Demeanor and his outfit and just everything, right? It's just shrouded in darkness.
It's darkness. But, yeah, and then you got all the little... You got the jousting, the sword fight. Mm-hmm. There's a whole bunch of them fighting all together.
Is it a 2-page splash? For me, it's page 84. But past where they show the crowds and Robin Hood on the far left, does that? Because I'm reading it on digitally. It's a 2-page splash.
2 pages where there's the top. It goes left to right, and there's bottom that goes all the way over.
So the folding part is that middle flag that's above the crowd. That's like the fold right there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
And the archery competition splits his own arrow.
The famous scene that we all know with Robin Hood splitting the arrow, right?
Yep. Amazing. He switched hands and split the arrow for another bullseye.
Wow. Very cool. Very little dialogue in all these little sections, right? We're moving quickly. Like, very little dialogue.
Well, because I feel like this situation is moving quickly.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, that guy's dead, and now here come the merrymen.
Yep. See, called it.
Just slashing throats, putting their helmets on, their masks on.
Yep. And I kind of called this when I first read that first part. I was like, this is a bad idea.
Yeah.
And here it very much is.
Definitely a bad idea. Yeah, because now they're all there. They're surrounding them.
Yep.
And there's Little John
making his proclamation, right?
Yeah.
I am Little John, and I bring tidings from the man you call Hood. Just, telling, everybody. His people are running in terror, and just fleeing.
Trying to bring people into their fold.
Mm-hmm.
While at the same time killing all these soldiers.
Yep. And the bottom of that page is maybe the only kind of duh moment, from Blackthorn. They're not here for the bloody prize. They're here for Nottingham. In my brain, I was like,
take over.
I was like, duh.
Yeah.
So you invited them in.
The situation, to just completely surround everybody. They got to get comfortable.
Yep.
And I don't know why they would think that they would just waltz on in there with their masks on and we're here, hello.
Yeah, no. Everything's fine. No, nothing to worry about. Yeah. They didn't even check weapons at the door. There was no one there going, put your swords and we have to pat you down. Like nothing. They just let people into the Nottingham Square, whatever, with swords and arrows and everything.
Yeah. So
what they think was going to happen. And Marion there saying I think you should just listen to him. Here's a 9-panel page also, Watchmen-esque on page 87. As we're rounding third here, this is comes to a closing end because the back matter is pretty heavy. So,
she's thinking in her head this isn't what I said that they should do. So
playing both sides fails.
Her pulling the strings is kind of not working out to her liking.
Mm-hmm. And after that, again, beautiful scene. Rain starting on page 88. And the crowds now, like you said, innocent bystanders being killed. And how are they recruiting when they're just killing? If you don't join us, we'll stab you.
Basically, at the moment, whoever's killing the nobles, I guess, with them is going to be a part of their group.
Yep. So it just mayhem has broken out here, and I enjoy it all. It's just wonderful. I love the paneling. Look on the right side of page 88 where the crowds and whatnot are dispersing. There's just sort of shadow there on the right side of just teeth. You see that?
Oh yeah.
On the left and right. This is where they're called gutters in comics a lot of times. These are called gutters because they're on those edges. But it's kind of cool when they put art in those gutters.
They do it every now and then. I mean, not as creepy as that, but then we have Little John with all of his his soldiers or whatever, and he's just destroying people's brains.
Again, those melons that he just like, it's just like he's popping melons. They're just kind of exploding when
I imagine these guys have no heads afterwards.
Yeah.
This guy is just huge.
They're headless.
He's swinging this skull thing.
Yeah, it's like a giant skull with these giant horns, and his opponent's heads are just exploding. I think that it's such a crazy cool visual there, though, right? But brutal.
Very brutal, but he's a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah. And you're like, man, he's just murdering.
And they're just mowing through these people.
Mm-hmm.
And the sheriff's just trying to retreat.
Yep.
As much as possible.
And Jerkborn or Gizborn, he's like, lead the way, let's get out of here. We retreat slowly and together. As the rain comes down, and it's just beautiful.
They try to put up a final little fight, but they don't realize how many merry men there are.
Yep. And they got a little tiny line, and then that next page, I love that 891, how it shows, their little line, and then all the merry men coming down that.
Break them.
Yeah, the alleyway. Break them. Great action, though. They kick up the detail here. Mr. Volk does, the artist. I love that middle panel right there of Blackthorn slicing through. Again, this guy's whole midsection's exploding. And look at what the cape's doing there. It's got tendrils almost. Right?
Yeah, it does. I didn't even notice that.
Hard to even see and understand what you're looking at, just that it's cape and this right arm and then explosion of a guy's midsection. Just the brutal violence here is just surprising and shocking and awesome at the same time.
And then they get quickly overrun.
Yep. And close the gap, close, and they're running, and just very few words, and he's got that, whatever that thing is called with the chain and the ball at the end. I know there's a name for that too.
Yeah. And he gets smacked in the face with it.
Yeah.
He recovers.
He's okay. Yeah. He's a tough dude.
He's a panel of, or two of being down, but he gets back up and he keeps going.
Yeah.
And then we got Marion. Just she thinks she's a hardcore fighter now, so she pulls up the sword.
I like though that they move away from like she's the damsel in distress. Yeah. You're like, oh, she picks up a sword.
These panels are really bright.
Yeah. Very much a change.
Really bright.
A little gear change, right?
And she's out there fighting because she's like, well, she's got to pick a side.
Yeah.
So.
You know what else? Take a note of Marion's dress. Look how long it is at the top of that page.
Long, that's right.
Is it alive? Much like Blackthorn's black cape?
Definitely seems like, especially like throughout all these fight scenes where it's just kind of like going all over the place.
And she can fight here. She like handles herself. Yeah. She kills a merry person.
She moved on.
Yeah. And you're like, okay. Yeah, look at the pose for her on 94. She's got
arms spread and gutting the merry man.
Yeah. And her dress turning into a symbiote and this cloak that's alive. But yeah, it's like superhero stance almost for her, and she just members this merryman. I thought that's just so cool. And then Blackthorn, I love that he's down, right? Still recovering from the hit with that mace, but still manages to dodge an arrow flying by his head. He's like, whoosh, and like moves.
Oh yeah, I didn't even notice that.
Wow. You're going too fast. Gotta slow it down. And the line there too. Look at the line on that top of 94.
There's no match there.
Zero. They gotta run.
Their superior numbers.
Yeah, look at that. I mean, they're outnumbered like 5 to 7 to 1 or something. And
well, the next scene where they're just backing up through the bridge to the gates, and there's like tons of them.
Yeah.
There's a few soldiers. There's the nobles, and there's just what looks like probably hundreds,
Yeah.
and then you see Little John, and he's huge.
He's just so giant. I love this thing they did here, right? It's again, we're on page 95. It's 4 of the same bridge scenes that are pulled away a bit, and it seems like the water is rushing through this sort of bridge. Again, showing the scale of Nottingham Castle, probably. The thing's giant. It's got like a moat or river going through one part of it.
It seems like a river because the way the water's just crashing against the side of the wall there.
But isn't that cool? This is something you'll see in comics sometimes. It's kind of like they use the background over and over again, but they move the characters along in it, the set pieces. So it's like a stationary photo of one spot 4 times, but then you see the characters move.
It really shows kind of how screwed they are.
Yeah, I think that's the point, right?
They're no match for the numbers that they have coming their way.
Yep, 0 match. But I love that. And then you get like this very kind of comic booky next page-ish kind of 90s, top of 96, where they're all sort of coming towards us like that. Yeah. And look at the cape behind him, right? It's inglorious.
It's like covering everybody.
You are
he's
safe.
Kind of protecting them all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I've got you. Let's go and run. And then the thud, that action of the gate door closing.
Oh, yeah.
So cool. Like they barely made it. Did a good job of conveying action, of moving the pace, of making it feel like an intense. Great job. And then thud, closed. And then still panel. Like, they did a great job of moving the action.
Breathe for a minute. And that's when he's trying to figure out how many soldiers they have left. Not nearly enough when we go to the next page.
Yeah.
Not nearly enough.
One of my favorite sort of single panels, if you will, because it's a single splash page, I believe, right?
Yeah. Yes.
And they're all on the bridge.
Shouting his name.
So cool looking.
Yeah.
Of the pointiness of Robin Hood's hat there,
Yeah.
Really get the full display of his Robin Hood costume.
So, he's also looking upon his people.
Right. You are my people. A shepherd tends to his flock. There you go. See, says it perfect.
And he's already basically in the castle.
Yep.
Because he's on top of it.
Yep, he's on top of it. He's on the other side. So, and then he's like, arrest Maid Marian. He's figured it out. Basically, he knows that she's in the middle. How dare you explain yourself? Says Lord Jerkus. and he explains. He's like, look, let me break it down for you. And he does. He did his homework. That's what he describes in these panels, right? Just like Killer was left-handed, and Marion can actually fight, and the brooch, and it all just sort of makes sense. He had his evidence, and Lord Jerkus was like, yeah, I guess you're right.
Alan gave him that last bit of evidence in his like final moments, basically, and be like, this is the key to put it all together.
Still doing his honorable thing and helping out his sort of friend that he in honor to help nail Maid Marian, which you and I knew was coming. But that's the end of part 4. And we're at the end part now. Here we go, the last and final part of Nottingham Volume 1. What do you think so far, man? I'm thinking this is great.
This is definitely a hit. I'm excited to read the next 5.
Well, I'll give you a little hint in the end. No, maybe it's released. They've Volume 2 is ready to be sold. I believe it's. I'll have to look at the date, but Volume 2 is coming. Or again, I can. I'll hook you up. I got 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I could give you the floppies.
I want to read them because it's great.
Yeah.
So far, these last 4 parts it's just constantly built up. It's gotten better and better and better. There hasn't really been a part where it's dragged or anything, or there's been filler. Hasn't really been any of that. It's just I think it's really good.
It's lean and mean. It doesn't maybe the song I'd say the only thing that you could say would be filler. Yes. But even that was not too drawn out.
No.
And we skipped it anyway, so it didn't really feel like.
Like I said, 3 was had the song in it, was like one of my favorite parts.
Yeah. Me
even
too.
with the song. So.
Yeah. Well, part 5 we get Little John in his devil horn whatever that thing is that makes people's heads explode.
Yeah.
Just showing he's doing his Incredible Hulk thing, and down below him is kind of a great just little scene of merry men versus officers of Nottingham and the sheriff, and kind of that same like earlier, right? This is his hands are on this. It's like his part of his doing, and foreshadowing a bit. And then the cover of the next page, which is great, of Robin Hood with that Joker smile.
Yeah.
You can tell we made the masks from him. There, you can almost see like he has his mask without the actual mask on.
Yeah.
Realize,
he's smiling because basically his plan is coming to fruition.
Yeah. And Marion looking as well like she's nefarious, involved in something. But smugness. But I love this next 6 panels on page 102, where we get some sort of zoom ins of Nottingham's face, and which I believe is Robin Hood because it's got the dual soul patches, right, and the mustache. So we're identifying that at the door here. And that 4th panel, I just love. It's like they're looking down. Yeah, do you notice that? Like they're kind of staring down a well or something.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. Into the tunnels.
Into the tunnels. Just so cool. So the merry men are upon their siege upon Nottingham Castle. This is like the culmination. This is the end, right? Like, is the merry man going to take over and take the castle? Or will Blackthorn kill Robin Hood? Like, it's coming down. This is definitely feeling like the end of an arc, of a storyline part. We're building, we're leading. They're outnumbered by 10 to 1, right?
And they're not coming through the way that they expected that they were coming through.
Nope.
They know some secrets.
Yes, they've got an insider, right? So I like that we also get to see on the next, skipping forward a little to 104, we see Lord Jerkis with some scars, right? And I was like, yeah, somebody...
He actually got hit a few times, it looks like.
Right. It's like, good, that guy needs to have his ass kicked,
Definitely.
And you get to see sort of a hall that they're into, showing a bigger scale again of Nottingham Castle, where there's like 9 of them, like 10 of them.
Yeah, well, it's big, but then it's also like, there's hardly any of them left.
Yeah,
they're in danger.
They're in bad danger.
Yeah.
So here you go. So
he realizes they're probably going after Marion.
Mm-hmm. And why? Because she knows things.
Yes.
And
just like the last guy that knew things.
Yep. And bottom of 105, he's like, very well. Alone it is then, Blackthorn. Yes, my lord. You had better bring me his bloody head. He's cloakless. He is without his cloak.
Huh.
What the heck? No cloak. His power. His source of power.
Well, it's like he's going back to his war days.
Crusades.
He's going to go hack and slash and kill everybody he sees.
Yep.
Which he does.
I love it. They do it again with 5 horizontal panels on page 106 showing the same thing again. Did you like that?
It's like one of those, it reminded me of one of those like the old video games where you're just kind of like going by
2D side scrollers.
Yeah.
One of my favorites.
That's what it reminded me of.
Totally.
Definitely.
And he slashes through, chops the guy in half basically with his sword.
Yeah.
I believe he's, and then just showing him at the end. Or it reminds me of those flip books, like if you had that on something and you flipped it, tick tick tick, like an animation. I think that'd be cool.
Definitely.
But he says another F-bomb as he meets Little John and a couple of pretty swollen, pretty buff merrymen.
So he just hacks through those guys like nothing.
Yeah, well, I mean, one of them is head right off.
It's in the 1v1 situation.
Uh-huh. And here we go. This is the fight we've been waiting for. This is the one we've wanted. How will Nottingham do versus Little John in this skull staff thing he's got? Head exploder, we'll call it.
He gets hit.
Yeah.
Like badly, but then he kind of just shakes it off.
Yeah, and he
uses his own weapon against him.
Yeah. And that's awesome. So, like, also they cut away from it. So you're like, okay, did he kill Little John? Like, we cut away to a couple of Nottingham soldiers getting arrows in their clavicles. And this is maybe my favorite, one of, definitely, on page 109 of Robin Hood in mostly darkness.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Just with the bow and arrow right there, just ready.
Yeah, and that sort of, he just let it go kind of fling thing happening with his hand, and he's just mostly in darkness, and the left eye is lighting up. I love it. And then the panel below it is that Venom face thing again with the hood where you can only see the teeth and eyes.
He's ready to shoot again.
Yeah, I just love that shadowing behind him on page 109 and the light on the left. Like, it's just wonderful.
Yeah, this is... I really like... I like the whole, like, creepy smile. On the...
Yeah. And then he's like... Go ahead.
And then he's just like... He looks over his... Or he's... I don't know if he's looking over his shoulder, but he knows that somebody's behind him, and it's Blackthorn.
Yep.
But then he just has his regular eyes.
Yeah. Yeah, through the mask. Like, that's the first kind of extreme close-up where maybe we could see through the mask. But, it's another thing in comics. They can fool around with that. Doesn't really matter. But for dramatic effect, they show his eyes. So then we have to assume he got through Little John. Right?
Yeah.
Whether Little John's dead or not, but he got through him.
Which, he definitely got through there.
Was a cool fight.
That big dude.
and then
now it's the fight with... He doesn't know who he is at this point, right?
Right. Hasn't seen his face.
Full on tackles him, and keys go flying. All the arrows are going flying everywhere.
It's madness happening, and then he's just pummeling this mask like over and over and over again,
beating the mask in like crazy.
Yeah. Until
he shatters it and sees that it's Robin of Locksley.
Robin of Locksley, who is a noble, right? Who the story goes, right? He was one that became for the people, but he was a noble himself, stealing from the rich and giving to the poor. And so now he realizes, there's a castle Locksley, and here he is, like maybe the son of a noble, or he is the noble, and that's the reveal where he's like, what? So much for the voice of the voiceless.
And the confusion kind of gave Robin enough time to get him off him.
Yeah. And then
guess what?
Guess what?
Somebody picked up the keys.
Somebody picked up the keys on page 112, and it's, of course, Marion in the middle, we'll call her.
Yeah. Now she's just kind of like, well, I'm going to kill both of you.
She's like, yeah, I'm going to be in the middle and just end the two of you. And she's got a sword, she's ready to go, and it's clear I'll just have to kill you both. And you're
she
like,
knows how to fight.
Yeah, you're like, holy crap, she can handle both of these. She's fighting them both at the same time, and her cape is on point. Her dress is on full, alive, green flowing cape of awesomeness that seems to be alive since Blackthorn's got no cape. So
no, neither of them do, I don't think. Right?
So yeah, just want to live in that glorious green dress flying around the room, and it's just great. And look at you go from the next page to the next page, like zero. It's just no dialogue. It's just action, just fighting,
hitting. Every now and then somebody gets sliced. Well, no, actually not. Towards the end, they both get sliced, right?
Yeah, let's keep going. There's just action. Marion gets a slice out of Robin Hood, gets that lower leg area, maybe the femoral artery. I don't know. It could be done. His wrist is bleeding too, and now it's Blackthorn and Marion, like in the kill strike position for them to kill Robin Hood. So what happens? Robin Hood's a good fighter too. Kind of gets his way out of this thing, right? And now it's the old standoff. He's Robin Hood's got Marion, and Nottingham's got a bow. Blackthorn's got a bow.
He's got the bow.
What's gonna happen?
It's like, is he as good a shot as Robin?
Yeah. We never really seen him, Blackthorn, with a bow.
Yeah, it's kind of roles reversed right there.
Mm-hmm. And plus, he's in cahoots with her. So does he really want to kill her, or does he want to shut her up? You know, there's that whole thing again. Did she
They're
fail?
both using each other.
Yeah.
So. But then, where do we go to? They're still talking. This was a lot of dialogue towards
This
the
is
end.
maybe the most you've seen, but it's some heavy
Yeah.
dialogue here of kind of what's happening and why, you know, like there's definitely some, what do they call it? We were posturing, where they're definitely kind of explaining their sort of side of things here. And, you know, they both have their point of view. They're both a good guy in their story, but there is definitely a villain here. And I like that they're both posturing in that way, leaving it gray. Honestly, right? You don't really.
Yeah, because Blackthorn's kind of trying to figure out, even shoot over some ideas that he thinks is the reason why. Like he says that all the money that you're not giving to the poor is going to the King's Crusade.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, he's like, a clever ruse to be sure, even if I do say so myself.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, still not giving him the reason why he's hoarding most of the money that he's stealing.
Right.
But
maybe Blackthorn kind of won his argument here in a little bit of a way. I went away with this part feeling like maybe Robin Hood is the bad guy.
Oh, I think so. I feel like, I definitely feel like, because Robin Hood's not being really honest with his own followers.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe even Little John doesn't even know the full extent of what Robin Hood is doing.
Mm-hmm.
He's just got these people that are following, listening to him, so that's all he needs.
Interesting take. Because I have read past this, and I won't say anything to spoil me for you. But I love the run, the chase scene, and Blackthorn manages to get an arrow into Robin, and again drops the F-bomb as that blood trail up at the top bottom of 120. So cool looking, right? And
then we just hop right into normalcy.
Yeah, like at the battle's over, so he escapes. I again, sometimes comics does this where you have to sort of fill in the pages between a little.
Yeah.
I kind of saw that Marion was sort of down. Nottingham was kind of had his butt kicked a little bit there too. Couldn't really chase after Robin Hood. And Robin Hood, I mean, still had the numbers, so he could have done more damage.
I feel like he could have still taken over, but I don't know. You don't really know what he wants still. Even though it seemed like he wanted to just take over Nottingham, it also seems like he didn't really want to. He just wanted to show a force, like say that I could take over if I wanted to.
Yeah. Or maybe get Marion. Or just get Marion, maybe.
Yeah.
Just shut her up and kill her, or maybe that was the singular, not really to take the castle, but to get Marion out or kill her. So,
There's definitely a grander thing that he's after.
Yeah.
But we just don't know.
We don't know it yet. Definitely feel like I feel like we hit the crescendo. Now we're in the setup for 6.
Yes, definitely.
We're in the shadow
this is
of
definitely the end of this part.
Yep. Which, what a great, right, crescendo. It reached a point, and I think they may, I mean, if any little nitpicky thing, they might have laid out how badly they were to not go chasing after Robin. It could have been a little more, Blackthorn heals so quickly, but Marion was down. But a little exclamation point there might have, Yeah,
I feel like, I don't know, it would have been maybe a little too easy if they just chased after him or something like that. They could have added more panels where they were chasing after him, and then you came across like 100 merry men, and
they're
just
like,
had to
nope.
back down.
Yeah.
But because he didn't have the numbers.
Yep.
I feel like he's smart enough to know that it's not worth chasing him because
they don't have the numbers.
Have, 20, 30 soldiers left.
True.
And then like where we're at is things have died down.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of the people have left and are now going to Robin's side.
Right. And so that's he kind of won, really, if you were weighing it out, right? More people are in the Merry Men now.
Because if you look at where the one panel after the battle where the Lord is saying people of Nottingham, and there's like 30 people over there, and then the other panels where Little John and Robin are looking over, and it looks like so many more people.
Hundreds and hundreds of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And who really won?
Yeah, I think Robin Hood did. I think this was I think that's what you're right. From the small crowd to the large crowd, you just look at the crowds. Maybe his mission was accomplished. He wanted to storm Nottingham, recruit some people. Maybe he wanted to get Marion out of there, but that was really it. He didn't need to take the castle. He just wanted more recruits.
Yeah, he wanted to get his word more vocalized, I feel like, too. Like,
yep.
And it definitely was done.
Yep. And so, and then we get the cool sort of ending. I mean, Marion is healing. Robin Hood of Locksley is brooding.
Yeah.
We see the backside of Little John. He's alive, I think.
Yeah.
Right? That's him.
He's alive.
Yeah, he's alive. And Marion recovering. And a new Alan. Alan 2.
Yeah.
Is a new sidekick promotion.
On your promotion.
And the end for now. To be continued. Great ending though, right? Just enough.
Yes. Yeah, I think it was perfectly ended, and especially with like the whole, seeing Robin have all these new followers.
Yeah.
And then he's got a new right-hand man or whatever you want to call him. Captain. But
Alan 2.
Betray him too, or who really is this guy that he's with?
We don't know him. Yeah. We need more information. This left me wanting more. I wanted to read issue 6 like immediately.
Oh, that's why as soon as I finished, I texted you and I was like, I need the rest.
Give me the rest.
I need to read the rest.
I will hook you up immediately. Awesome. And let's. I mean, they give you some great back matter here too, which is nice. That's for the price of what you're paying for a trade collection. The concept art is solid. I mean, I love the layouts of concept art and design from Alan to Blackthorn, Little John, Guy Douche Jerkville, Gisborne, Will Scarlet, which I like that they named him. Which one was he? I don't remember. Oh, he was the first one, the ginger to be killed.
Friar Tuck.
Yeah, Friar Tuck. Oh, okay. And then the castle itself, that's nice. They threw out a little bit of that. And then there's a cover gallery. That's so cool. The first one's probably my favorite. This 616 comic store variant cover, art by Matt Dalton. Just a super zoom up.
Really good. Let's go through them real quick.
The watercoloring paint by Matt Dalton, on point. Shout out to 616 Comics. Man.
I would probably have to say the next one over is probably my favorite.
The second one by Miko Suyen.
Yeah, with the sword stabbing in with the blood splatter, and the reflection of, I'm imagining that's the reflection of Nottingham in the blade.
Yep. That's beautiful too. Look at the difference in the mask too. Like, that's not Robin Hood, I wouldn't think, right? It's got he doesn't have the definition.
Another one of his followers or something.
And then a sort of second treatment of that in a different coloring.
Yeah.
Which is beautiful. And then I even like the cartoony one there that's done by Ekaterina.
He kind of reminds me of from Spider-Man, Green Goblin.
Oh yeah, totally. Very much so. And Blackthorn looks a lot like the Crows, the Game of Thrones, right? It's got a Jon Snow look.
Jon Snow, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But man, great cover gallery, nice little bonus. Even Miguel Angel Zapata, Mad Cave's own, throws in his cover art in there. It's just beautiful. And the second printing cover again. That's by Luca Romano. Beautiful. Don't skip the back matter, people. Get into this. It's really nice. The covers are wonderful.
Good art.
Yeah. It goes on too. It's a good amount of pages here. Andrea Muti. I have to give you this too. The one that's all like blue and gray and black down towards the bottom, done by Andrea Muti.
Yeah.
He did a one shot. We Nottingham or Mad Cave Studios did a Nottingham #1 or Nottingham Free Comic Book Day edition. Like every day in the last Saturday in May or something like that. Every year they do a free comic book day. All the shops give out comics, and Mad Cave Studios did a free one of Nottingham. That's like a tiny little side story, and I have it. It's like a separate little story, and it's done by this artist, Andrea Muti, who's fantastic. Right, and I have one of those for you. Got one.
Oh, sweet. Thank you.
It's a free Comic Book Day one. Worthy because a good one to get. A lot of times new Comic Book Day, it's the same stuff. They just regurge whatever or reprint.
Oh.
But Mad Cave brought their game up and put like a separate little side story with a different artist.
Okay. That's pretty cool.
Because I read it thinking it'd be this like issue 1, and it wasn't.
Same, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I'll give you that. It's very cool. But yeah, all the way to the very end. And that is the end. And I love that crest. Again, that crow crest of very, very end of, right? Blackthorn's face?
Yeah.
Tattoo worthy.
Cool.
That needs to be a tattoo as well. Well, man, love this. There's some good reviews at the end on the back page. What do you think, man? A+? 5 out of...
I think so.
5 out of 5? 10 out of 10?
It left me wanting more, so I think that's always a good sign.
Always a good sign.
I would say it's a 10 out of 10. If anything, 9.8, just because the
song. We'll see in Volume 2 if they do a song again. Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was really good. It definitely built up, and then now it's the end of this is like, it has to come down to set up for what's to come.
Yep.
Because this isn't the end of it. So
no. Issue 10 came out last Wednesday, I want to say. Last Wednesday. So issue 10 is out, and they're calling that like the sort of the way that some of the marketing material is saying like the conclusion.
Okay.
So we'll see if that's what that actually means. Can't really say, but
I can kind of see that, like it not continuing for like 20, 30 issues or anything like that. There's only so much, I guess, you can do.
Yeah, we'll see.
But I like it. I wouldn't mind if it kept going.
Yeah, me too. No, I want more. Take us into some.
If it keeps up like this,
Yeah.
The right way.
Absolutely.
Like this one didn't even start off slow. It immediately went into it killing.
Yeah.
Like immediately went in, and you're already like trying to figure out what is going on.
Yeah.
So there wasn't even really any like. There was build up, but build up on top of the build up. Like it just progressively got better from a great start.
Yeah, I agree. Good storytelling, great pace, beautiful art. It was intriguing and interesting and brutal. It just kept you interested, kept it going. Not a lot of lulls, like you said, not filled with tons of dialogue. It was well balanced in the area of show you or tell you.
Yeah.
And I agree, man. I give it all the A+, 5 stars, 10 out of 10, etc., etc. I'm glad you loved it, man. I'm glad it wasn't a Halo graphic novel-ish stinker. I'm glad that my second pick for you was a home run.
Definitely wouldn't be here talking about this if it was like that.
Correct. Because you know me too. I only like to share the love and that.
Yeah.
Not
no point in bashing something constantly. I mean.
Exactly. Well, you gotta look.
Plenty of that out there.
Exactly. Well, Kevin, plug yourself one last time and say goodbye to the peoples.
All right. Well, of course, find me on Instagram at Kevs_dailycarry. And I mean, that's the only place that you can find me.
Nice.
I don't have like a Facebook for that or anything. So, yeah.
That's fantastic.
Come follow me.
Thank you so much, Kevin. Like, I hope you had fun with this.
Did lots of fun. We'll have to do this again. Maybe when the next one comes out.
Yeah,
Volume
which is
2.
Right around the corner. So we'll have to maybe peek into that and see how well it goes. But thank you so much, man, for being here. I hope it brought you some excitement of reading comics, and you're like, if this is what it could be like, what else is out there? And I'll make sure to. I think we should probably just roll with Nottingham, but I've got a couple of other recommendations in my back pocket.
Other things,
Nice.
Like,
Good.
It's introduced me. So
excellent. And I'll put more things in my pockets to carry in that community. You read more comics, but I got some for you too. Thank you to Mad Cave Studios. I have some. I'll give you some stuff. But
sweet.
Thanks, Kevin. Let's sign off and say goodbye to the peoples.
Bye, peoples.
Goodbye, peoples. Thank you so much. To be continued, as I always say on Sunspots.
Yes.
But thanks, Kevin. Have a good one, bud.
You too.
All right. See you soon.
See ya.